Welcome in. It's Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. If you're here in the Charlotte area, yeah, another cold morning, another cold start to the day, but it's even colder in the Northeast. Let's take a live look at some aerials. This is in, remind me, James, you gave it
This is New Bedford, Massachusetts, where snow totals are north of 30 inches.
Oh, man. I want to read this from NBC 10 in Boston as the New England area digs out of this historic blizzard. So southern New England is starting, it's Tuesday, buried in snow, as you can see right here, after a historic nor'easter blasted the region with unrelenting snowfall. Hundreds of school districts remain closed on Tuesdays. Power remains knocked out for 250,000 in Massachusetts, and widespread flight cancellations continue to plague Boston's Logan Airport. Same can be said about the tri-state area as well. Just absolutely slammed with snow. Becca Birdsall is here. Yeah, we're not dealing with that here at all.
No, it's kind of crazy when we think about what happened with our snowfall about a month ago, us getting 11 inches, even up to around a foot in some spots. This is 3 times that. And we had school shut down for a while, but New York said nope. Everyone's going back to school today. So yes, they are still digging themselves out of that. We had some fresh snow up towards the mountains, but just nowhere near the blizzard-like conditions, of course, that the Northeast was dealing with. But if you are headed out skiing over towards Maggie Valley and Beach Mountain, just fantastic conditions, kind of like the Bluebird Day. Once you get a snow system pass by, sunshine breaks out. That's what's called a Bluebird Day around here. So if you are headed out that way, definitely want to bundle up, but you'll definitely enjoy the fresh powder. We'll get another round of mountain snow even as we go into Wednesday as well. It's just not going to be nearly as much. You can see in the greater Charlotte area, clouds have increased. Yesterday, we had wall-to-wall sunshine, so today is not going to be nearly as sunny and as nice, but it is going to feature warmer temperatures. Yesterday, we only had highs, despite the sunshine, only in the lower 40s. So today, we'll do middle to upper 40s. We'll slowly, gradually get there. We're at 35 degrees now, 34 over towards Hickory, and 39 degrees over towards Lancaster. And you can see satellite radar, those snow showers up towards the mountains have tapered off, but again, we do have another round coming as we'll still have that cold air in place as our next system starts to move in on Wednesday. So adding this up, some of the snowfall totals that we saw over the mountains over the past couple of days were nearing 6 to even over 10 inches in some spots. So this amount of snow coming will generally be about an inch or less, so certainly not much, but will add to the snowfall accumulation accumulations we've been seeing this week. So here it comes. Wednesday morning, we'll start to see that snow up between Ashe, Watauga, and Avery counties. It's just cloudy everywhere else. We'll continue this throughout the morning and early afternoon before we start to see that snow taper off. Wednesday is going to be a drier day for us, but it's also going to be warmer. We're going to get out of the 40s, even the 50s, with high temperatures starting to rise up above average into the 60s. We are tracking a low pressure system. This is going to swing across the southeast. As it does so, that is going to bring us several rounds of rain beginning Thursday. This is going to start Thursday morning. This is a look at the overnight hours and before daybreak. So it is going to be a damp start to the day, but much of that rain coverage as we go later in on the morning, if you're headed to work or school, is really going to be along the I-40 corridor and northwest up towards the mountains. So a little bit spotty, a little bit less activity from the greater Charlotte area southward. Kind of a lull in activity basically from noon all the way through about 3 o'clock. This does not last long. We've got scattered showers in the forecast throughout the late afternoon and evening, but this is really going to ramp up on Friday morning. You can see kind of a disorganized line, heavy line of showers starts to form. A few rumbles of thunder will also be possible. This is right around 7, 8 o'clock. So headed off to work or school for Friday morning, I do think this is when we could pick up the heaviest amount of rainfall. Today, it's chilly, still well below average, about 10 degrees below average for this time of year. By the time we get into tomorrow, we're finally entering into the 60s. That's really the range. We're going to stay in 60s at least as we go towards the end of the work week. This is an interesting stat from meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Out of the entire year, we've only had measurable rainfall on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday being the wettest of 5 days. And I know this because I work weekends. And I'm like, why do I always get the bad weather? But this is going to change. We finally have rain for Thursday and for Friday as well. But it does look to clear out by the weekend. So at least that's the good news. We do need the rainfall. So our high-resolution models go out until Friday at 8 a.m. in the morning. So you'll notice that's when we had that kind of line of heavy rain really starting to move into the greater Charlotte area. It's looking like that line alone could help pick us up anywhere from ½ an inch to even over an inch in some spots, which is certainly helpful, of course, for that extreme drought that we're in. So here's that low-pressure system. It swings through, brings us those rain chances for the end of the work week. Kind of lingers out as it stalls, but it is going to be out of here by Friday evening. We will start to clear out. It's going to make way for a fantastic looking weekend. Temperatures right now in the 30s, definitely cold if you're headed out there. Low temperatures this morning. I don't know did you go on your morning stroll?
I did, and I heard from Jeb Goldman, one of our streaming producers, about me running outside and how cold it was. It was really cold, and I left my gloves.
Oh my gosh.
I was already outside and I realized I don't have my gloves.
Wow.
And it was like, go back upstairs.
I would have just, gone back up.
I live on the 3rd floor. I was like, let me conserve my energy.
Right, yeah.
And then basically my hands were frozen.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Anyways. Well, good news is that this is going to be our last freezing morning, at least until we end out the month of February. So this marked our 45th freeze so far. So our meteorological winter runs from December through February. So our average is 42 freezes. We're slightly above that, but still nowhere near the most, which was 68 back in 1964. So our low temperatures for the rest of the week into the weekend, well above freezing. If you're going on another morning run, it's going to be 40 degrees to start off tomorrow morning. But by Thursday, in the lower 50s. We've got another cool down coming for next week, but at least you got some time to warm up. This weekend, 60s for Saturday, mix of sunshine and clouds, but Sunday, 75 degrees. I mean, that is really hard to beat. So Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, chilly, mix of sunshine and clouds today, but this is really our last cold day, at least for the next week ahead. 60s as we end out the work week. Of course, rain chances increasing for the end of the week. And then the weekend arrives, 60s for Saturday and then 70s for Sunday.
It really is like a roller coaster this time of year. We go cold, slightly warmer, then we're warmer again.
It's like our transitional month. And March is, it's the same.
It's hard to dress for, too.
It is, yeah. But I'm very excited about Sunday.
I am very excited, too. Becca Bursop, thank you for checking the forecast. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivan. We want to head to Utah, where the presiding judge in the case against Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk last September, will rule on a critical defense motion today. The judge will decide, and again, this is virtual, whether to disqualify state prosecutors over an alleged conflict of interest. Let's take a listen in.
To closure motions. And finally, amended standing order, which addresses procedures to classify a public record as non-public. Next, let's turn to the ruling and order on defendant's motion to disqualify Utah County Attorney's Office. The court appreciates the patience of all parties with respect to this motion. The court has taken the necessary time to carefully review the motions submitted, consider the evidence presented, and the arguments made by counsel. And the court now reads its ruling, which will be made available and posted later today. Before the court is defendant's motion to disqualify Utah County Attorney's Office. Defendant argues that high-level prosecutor assigned to this case has a concurrent conflict of interest, and because no efforts were made to screen him, the entire office should be disqualified. Because defendant has not established a factual basis for a finding of conflict of interest or an objective appearance of impropriety rising to a constitutional concern, his motion is respectfully denied. At defendant's request, the court held an evidentiary hearing on January 16th, 2026 and February 3rd, 2026. Each witness was subject to direct and cross-examination, and each witness testified credibly. Although there were slight variations in their testimony about some facts, those variances are not material to the resolution of this motion. Based on the evidence presented, the court makes the following findings of fact. Chad Grunander, a prosecutor assigned to this case, is the chief deputy at the Utah County Attorney's Office. He is a veteran prosecutor and has more experience than any other person in the office litigating homicide cases. On September 10th, 2025, Mr. Grunander's daughter, hereinafter referred to as daughter, attended a rally at Utah Valley University featuring Charlie Kirk. She sat in the back of the university courtyard, approximately 85 feet away from where Mr. Kirk was speaking. Shortly after the rally began, she heard a popping noise and heard a man say, "He's been shot." She, along with other members of the crowd, ran out of the courtyard into a nearby building. Daughter felt afraid for her life while she was running, but felt better when she reached the building. Daughter texted her father. She told him someone was shot. She heard it was Charlie Kirk. She heard the gunshots, and she was okay. Following the incident, daughter had not experienced any trauma, emotional difficulty, or changes to her routine. Daughter was not interviewed by any member of law enforcement or the prosecution team until after the current motion was filed. When Mr. Grunander received the text messages from daughter, he was startled and concerned for her welfare, but he felt better when she notified him saying she was okay. Mr. Grunander shared the text messages with the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray. Eventually, each prosecutor on the prosecution team and at least some law enforcement personnel became aware of that Mr. Grunander's child had attended the rally. No effort was made by the Utah County Attorney's Office to screen Mr. Grunander from the case or from speaking about his child's experience with other attorneys in the office. Mr. Gray consulted with his prosecution team, including Mr. Grunander, when determining which charges to file and whether to seek the death penalty. But the ultimate charging decision rested solely with Mr. Gray in his statutory capacity as elected county attorney. He made the decision to file a notice of intent to seek the death penalty at the inception of the case rather than waiting until after the arraignment, as allowed by statute. His decision to seek the death penalty was based upon his assessment that the death penalty is appropriate in this case. He chose not to wait to file the notice because he believed it would cause unnecessary speculation on the part of the public and angst on the part of the victim's family. Lauder's presence at the rally did not materially influence Mr. Gray's decision-making, and the court finds that this conclusion is supported by credible testimony and objective record before it. Approximately 3,000 people attended the rally at Utah Valley University. Throughout the course of the investigation, over 40 attendees voluntarily provided witness statements to law enforcement, and several attendees provided video footage of the incident. No evidence was provided by a daughter that she was not available from other sources. The state has chosen not to call her as a witness in support of its prosecution of Mr. Robinson. In October 2025, Mr. Gernander sent an email to defense counsel and disclosed his child had attended the rally at Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was shot. Defendant moves for disqualification under Rule 1.7 of the Utah Rules of Professional Conduct, which provides in relevant part that a lawyer has a concurrent conflict of interest if there is a significant risk that the representation will be materially limited by a personal interest of the lawyer. In applying this standard, the court is mindful that this is a capital case. The decision whether to seek the death penalty is among the most solemn exercises of prosecutorial discretion, and allegations of bias or personal influence in that context warrants careful and searching judicial review to preserve both due process and public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings. Defendant argues that Mr. Hernandez's relationship with daughter creates a significant risk that his decision-making will be and has been materially limited by personal interest, namely his loyalty to his daughter. Because no screen was in place to prevent Mr. Hernandez's conflict from tainting the entire prosecution team, defendant argues that Utah County Attorney's Office should be disqualified from prosecuting this case. This is especially so because Mr. Gernander holds a supervisorial role in the office and is a key part of the prosecution team. Defendant has not identified binding authority establishing that a prosecutor has a concurrent conflict solely because the prosecutor has a familial relationship with the potential witness, particularly where the witness has no unique relevant information. In the cases defendant cites, the prosecutors were split between their loyalty to the government and their loyalty to the defendant, or a personal interest separate from the case being prosecuted. In State v. McClellan, the prosecutor had previously represented the defendant and had access to confidential protected information, which could undermine the defendant's right to due process. In State v. Balfour, the prosecutor had past financial, business, and political ties to a defendant, which could conflict with the prosecutor's duty to pursue justice and represent the government. In Wright v. United States, the prosecutor's wife was the defendant's political opponent whom she had accused of sending people to assault her. In State v. Tate, the prosecutor had been a judge on the defendant's case and had been privy to ex parte communications. In People v. Connors, the prosecutor was both a victim and a witness to a separate crime committed by the defendant, which created a personal grudge against the defendant himself. Each of the cases involve a personal interest directly connected to the defendant or some other interest that materially limited the prosecutor's representation of the state. By contrast, the record here contains no evidence that Mr. Gernander or any member of his family had a personal relationship with, bias toward, defendant. Nor does the record show that Mr. Gernander's professional judgment has been or is substantially likely to be materially limited by his loyalty to his daughter. Speculation regarding potential influence is insufficient to establish a significant risk under Rule 1.7. The court has independently reviewed the evidentiary record with particular attention to whether any direct or indirect decision-making in this case reflects personal involvement inconsistent with the objective prosecutorial judgment. The court finds no such evidence. Defendant argues that two prosecutorial decisions could have been impacted by Mr. Grunander's relationship to daughter, thereby affecting defendant's due process rights. The decision not to call daughter as a witness and the decision to seek the death. The court is persuaded by the evidence presented that daughter is not being called to testify because she has no uniquely relevant testimony to give, and the state has access to much stronger evidence from other witnesses. To the extent defendant believes his due process rights are violated by the state declining to call daughter as a witness, defendant has subpoena powers and a right to call her himself if he believes her testimony is important to his case. As to the decision to seek death, the court finds that daughter's presence at the rally did not factor into the prosecutorial analysis. The evidence supports that Mr. Gray's decision was grounded in his assessment of the facts and applicable law. Because the circumstances of every case are unique. Oh, I heard something. I'll continue. Let me start over on that sentence. Because the circumstances of every case are unique, prosecutorial discretion allows a prosecutor to consider a host of relevant factors when determining whether to seek death, as long as the considerations of those factors is constitutionally sound. Even if Mr. Gray considered the impact on daughter when deciding to seek death, defendant has not shown that the impact of the crime on victims, witnesses, or even prosecutors themselves is an unconstitutional consideration when deciding to seek the death penalty. In sum, the court concludes that there is not a significant risk that Mr. Grunander's loyalty to daughter has or will materially limit his representation of the state of Utah. Furthermore, defendant has not shown that there is a significant risk that Mr. Grunander's relationship with daughter has or will impact defendant's due process rights. Based on the record before the court, defendant has not shown that his prosecution by the Utah County Attorney's Office is tainted by a concurrent conflict of interest under Rule 1.7. During oral argument, defendant requested the court also consider whether the Utah County Attorney's Office followed the process recommended by the Utah Prosecutors' Best Practices created by the Statewide Association of Prosecutors, otherwise known as SWAP, in determining whether to disqualify.
All right, so this is a live look, and you've been checking out these live aerials in the top left corner. This is New Bedford, Massachusetts, where it appears a fire truck collided with a car. I don't know.
It's making contact with that parked car.
Making contact. I do want to point out, and again, this is WHDH on their website. This is 7 News Boston. With the state digging out of Monday's blizzard, plenty of resources have been poured into the city cleanup in Boston. Plows, trucks, and many other machines have been at work to get the roads and sidewalks cleared off. Still a lot of work to do. But according to them, there is a parking ban in effect in Boston until 6 p.m. as crews remove snow from the streets. So again, that is from WHDH, as it appears a fire truck made contact with a car. So again, a lot of folks in the Northeast digging out from the historic snowfall there. And as we look at this, we are going to head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Servant. We want to go back now to New Bedford, Massachusetts, where they are digging out from the snow. Earlier, before we went to break, we saw a fire truck appear to collide or have collided with a car there. There is a parking ban in the Boston area until 6 p.m. We did get a
snow is above those people's heads.
Yeah.
That snow is so high, it's over their heads.
Those folks are literally digging themselves out of the snow.
Yeah, so the snowfall measurements in this area, Nick, were somewhere between 30 and 33 inches.
Wow.
So, I mean, that is like eye-level snow.
Wow.
And again, this is New Bedford, Massachusetts. It's on the south shore of Massachusetts, kind of real close to Providence, Rhode Island, where we also saw very high snowfall totals.
Man, a lot of snow. You're talking about historic snowfall there in the Northeast. We also, Massachusetts governor, saw her walking into this building here. We're expected to hear from her at some point today, giving us an update on the efforts to clear a lot of this snow following yesterday's blizzard. All right, so earlier today, and we brought it to you live here on Live Impact News, we heard from family members of the victims from that DCA plane crash, obviously in D.C. Following that, we heard from NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy, who spoke with media members directly after that. Let's take a listen in.
Sorry, whether you think, again, Mr. Review, you said in the hearing in January, that had the ADSB requirements been in effect, this crash might have been avoided.
Yeah, it would have been avoided. We did simulations and looked at the flight data recorder and information and put together a simulation that found that had the crew on board the helicopter been able to hear the alerts from ADSBN, which they had, they would have been able to take action at 48 seconds before collision. Had Flight 5342 had ADSBN, it would have been 59 seconds prior to collision instead of 19 seconds, and they really only saw it about 1 second prior to collision. 59 seconds is a long time. They hadn't even circled to the approach yet. So that was a lot of time for them to take action. That's what we found in our investigation, and we found that ADSBN, once again, could have prevented this tragedy. And I think there's a lot of confusion on what we're talking about on ADSBN. You all are transportation reporters, and you understand what we're talking about is proximity of airspace and the proximity of aircraft in the airspace. That's what we're talking about. You know, we're not talking about big, expensive technology. American retrofitted 302 of their planes for less than $50,000 a plane. They were out of service 1 or 2 days. You were in general aviation, we're talking a $400 receiver, your iPhone, and your headset. So the idea that this is emerging technology is bullshit. It isn't emerging technology, and I'm going to call it what it is. This is technology that people use all the time. This is information. So right now, you know, when pilots are in commercial jets and they have TCAS, they're using 80s and 90s technology. We're beyond that today. They are having to stare at a monitor to see the directionality of an aircraft because they aren't told what direction it is going. They literally have to watch an arrow move. That's ridiculous. We are trying to improve safety in our airspace. And what is the fact here is that the Rotor Act includes the very same recommendation the NTSB issued 3 weeks ago, which is require ADSB everywhere it's currently required for ADSB out. That means Class A airspace above 18,000 feet. That means B and C. That means Mode C Vale, which is within 30 nautical miles of an airport, major airport, or Class E airspace. What the Alert Act does is only require equipping covered aircraft with technology that is capable of receiving ADS-B in transmissions. Guess what? My iPhone with ForeFlight is capable of receiving ADS-B in transmissions. Doesn't mean it's operational. Even if that was a drafting error, they have entire wholesale exemptions for certain aircraft in certain airspace. That is not right. The risk to the public is the same. Today, and this is why we need action, today the House will vote, and I got to be very careful, I can't tell anybody how to vote, but what I can tell you is our position. Today, the House will vote on a bill that was passed 100-0 by the Senate. They will take it up. If it passes, it goes right to the President's desk. It implements life-saving technology that we have recommended over and over and over again for over 20 years. How many more people need to die for us to decide that action needs to be taken? What matters most? A special interest exemption to carve out portions of the airspace, to carve out GA, which is exactly the intent of this act. I got to tell you, we can talk all day about what the Alert Act does, and I look forward to working with the Committee on Transportation and working with the Committee on Armed Services. But it is not how it's being portrayed. In many areas, it doesn't implement the NTSB recommendations. I don't want a working group. I don't want a report. I don't want no action. You want to implement our recommendations? It's one line. FAA and the Army shall implement recommendations in this report. That's what it does. Why not move rotor, which is our longest standing issue that can save lives today or when implemented, and then if we want to work together on something more comprehensive on the other recommendations, let's do it. I'm all for it. That needs a lot of improvement. So getting up on the House floor and saying, we implemented all the NTSB recommendations is false.
Is there an over-reliance on visual separation right now?
There is over-reliance on visual separation throughout our airspace. I look back at all of our investigations going back to 1968, mid-airs, near mid-airs, and every single one of them we said see and avoid. Seeing aircraft, avoiding aircraft, relying on humans. We said that's a problem. This constant reliance, this over-reliance on visual separation, and we cited it in our report. There's a lot of areas that we can work together, and with respect to DOD, I am sorry, but I can read legislation, and the Rotor Act says two things, that they have to have ADS-B out where it's proficiency flights, like this one, it was a check ride, or a flight that is routine, that is not going to secure sites. What is wrong with that? And then it requires a DOT IG audit. That's what it does. That is what is apparently so concerning for national security. I don't understand it. People actually should be more concerned in what is the title on the Alert Act, because what that one does is double down on what is in the NDAA and makes it worse. So, more questions?
Yeah. Sam Politico. Could you speak to the level of engagement that TNI and Armed Services staff had with the NTSB before they unveiled the Alert Act on Thursday? Did they talk to you all at all about the provisions within the Alert Act? Can you walk us through that?
So a couple of things. They reached out for a briefing, a combined briefing, staff briefing, so our subject matter experts and their committee staff, including HASC staff, to go through our findings, our recommendations, our analysis after we issued the DCA report. That happened. And then Transportation Committee called me day before, I think it was February 11th, before the Senate hearing, to have a closed-door meeting. I brought our subject matter experts to meet with members of Transportation Committee and talk about our findings. Again, our recommendations allow people to ask questions. Since that time, we saw language on Friday and did have a discussion with them, with staff, about different provisions in the bill. We've raised concerns in specific areas. They've asked us for technical assistance, which was a pretty quick turnaround, which we provided yesterday.
So TNI and Armed Services didn't run the provisions, the language in the Alert Act by you before they introduced it or
No.
the Thursday?
No, they did not.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, Pamela, can we ask you to respond to the last-minute concerns by the Pentagon? I don't know what merit do you think they have in terms of national security or budgetary impacts?
We have an important opportunity today to pass a law to improve aviation safety and put it on the President's desk and honor the 67 lives that were lost. The House of Representatives should take that opportunity. The last-minute conversations that are incorrect basically are not an understanding of the Senate bill. The Senate bill does not deal with B-32s or F-35s or anything else. It does not. So anybody who's saying they're going to vote against it because it has a broader implication about other military aircraft are wrong. I personally, having led the last big both FAA bill and previous bill on aviation safety, know that there are still many, many things that we need to do for aviation safety. I am going to hold the FAA accountable on many fronts. But I'm here to tell you today that if you can take this opportunity to improve the safety of this aviation airspace that you fly in.
All right, so we want to take you live now to the Orlando area. This is in, you said, the Winter Gardens area?
Yes, so this is just to the west of Orlando.
Okay. And as you can see there, it looks like firefighters are putting out hot spots, a lot of smoke. And it looks like there was a fire at it's hard to tell what this facility is, but might have been a warehouse or some sort of building, but there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of debris there that firefighters are spraying off. Again, hot spots. You see the smoke coming up from this area. This is near Orlando, Florida. You said this is a recycling plant. Okay.
Yeah, I can put a map on the screen here in just a second, Nick. And yes, so this is like the Winter Garden area of Florida, Central Florida, just to the west of Orlando. And what I'm going to show people on the screen here as we're looking at these aerial pictures of firefighters also using some of their aerial apparatus is I can show folks right now on Flight Tracker the location of this news helicopter from our news partners there in the Orlando area. And so if you look on the map right now, you can see, Nick, where Orlando is. And if I push in here to the left of Orlando, the west side of Orlando, we can see where the helicopter is circling near Plant Street and Highway 429. This is not too far from the lake right there in, again, what looks to kind of be the Winter Garden area.
All right, so this is a recycling plant there, and you can see firefighters there on scene spraying, putting out what appears to be hot spots there. You see that smoke there. We're going to leave it here, and we're going to head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturterman. We are continuing to follow a recycling plant fire there. This is live aerials here of firefighters putting out and dousing those hot spots there. You see the smoke from our vantage point. Again, these are aerials in the Winter Garden area. That's near Orlando. All right, so let's head over to St. Paul, Minnesota, where today Governor Tim Walz introduced a gun violence prevention package to the Minnesota legislature. Let's take a listen in to what he had to say earlier.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'd like to do a note. We have 2 empty desks sitting out there for Fletcher and Harper. We have others sitting outside. If you needed a graphic reminder of what gun violence does and ripping us apart, that is a pretty moving tribute. It's also a call to action, and I'm going to thank all of the folks who are here with our legislative leaders who have worked on this for years. We have groups here that are supporting us. I'd like to call out Violence Free Minnesota, Moms Demand Action, Protect Minnesota, Students Demand Action, Annunciation Light Coalition, Giffords, and so many others. And then you're going to be hearing from Bianca and Tommy, but you're also going to be hearing from Lydia. And I'd just like to note, I oftentimes say this in times of tragedy, where the courage of people come from who are in the midst of tragedy and their own struggles, take that and channel it into action. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. We gavelled in the House last week in a pretty solemn ceremony, because it's the first time since the loss and the murder of Speaker Hortman, Mark, the murder or the attempted murder of Senator Hoffman and his wife Yvette. This comes on the heels of the horrific action that took Fletcher and Harper's life, injured 30 others, including Lydia, in a shooting. Minnesotans have been demanding since that day and long before that we not let this issue go away, that in this moment, we've seen this so many times in America, oh, there's nothing we can do, isn't that tragic? We have another shooting, Uvalde, Parkland, and the names go on. And then to get to that list, now we have Annunciation. Well, the difference is in Minnesota that we're not willing to let this go. We are not willing to say this is the way we have to live, and we're taking action to do something about it. In December, I became the first Minnesota governor to take executive action on gun violence, strengthening current laws on the books, directing state agencies to take concrete steps to prevent gun violence-related injuries and death, and creating the statewide Safety Council. It was an important first step reflecting what the public was asking us to do, but it was simply that, a first step. Cannot be a back burner issue. We're going to come together with this group here, these legislative leaders, with the action of the community, with brave individuals like Lydia standing up and making a difference. We've got a comprehensive package, and just to give you an idea what's in here, these are things that data shows us will protect lives, will stop some of these things from happening, and will strengthen what we already have. We're under no illusion that we could stop every single one, but the idea of throwing up your hands and saying, what can we do? When America is the place that this happens most often, it happens day after day after day. There have already been dozens and dozens of mass shootings across this country since the first of the year. But we're proposing a ban on military assault rifles, high-capacity magazines, ensuring accountability among responsible gun owners. These should be easy lifts, safe storage, reporting your weapons when they're lost or stolen, closing the ghost gun loophole, implements a firearm insurance requirement, establishes a firearm and ammunition tax, and creates and expands early intervention resources, including school resources, working to go back upstream to prevent anything that happened in Annunciation to ever happen again. These are common sense measures. We've made significant progress. We know the data shows our red flag laws are saving lives. We know that these are concrete proposals that make a difference. We've proven to the rest of the world that Minnesota is built differently. And I want to make this case that this legislative session, this is an opportunity to make Minnesota the safest state around gun violence while doing nothing to impinge on your Second Amendment rights. So I would encourage the legislators who have this. I'll take them pheasant hunting next year and show them that they can do this, but we can also show them the data and work together. This is a time for bipartisan action around an issue that tore at the heart and continues to, and we owe it to the Annunciation families, not to have that just be another statistic in the book. In Minnesota, that was the final straw. That was it. I pushed and pushed and pushed, and we couldn't even get legislators to have a hearing. Well, those days are over. Some of these folks in here are going to be testifying today, and they're going to continue to testify. And the legislators that are here, you're going to get sick and tired of hearing me talk about something needs to be done on this. We can multitask. We'll tackle fraud. We'll deal with what happened to us from the federal government, but simultaneously we're going to take care of our own, especially our children. And with that, it's a pleasure to me and an honor to be up here, share this podium with Lydia. So I'll turn it to Lydia. Thank you.
My name is Lydia Kaiser. I'm in 8th grade at Annunciation Catholic School. On August 27th, I was in church, attending the first school mass of the year, when a gunman fired 116 rounds of bullets through the stained glass windows. 2 students were shot and killed. 2 students survived gunshot injuries to the head. I am one of them. Many more students were injured by bullets and flying glass. We all hid under the pews. The older students covered the younger students to protect them. I was taken to the hospital and rushed into surgery. The doctor moved a large piece, almost half of my skull, to let my brain swell and to remove bone and bullet fragments from my head. I had a second surgery 3 weeks later to put the piece of my skull back in my head. All children have the right to live, free from gun violence, in schools, churches, and in our communities. Elected officials have a duty to protect us from guns. No one should have to go through what we went through at Annunciation. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bianca Dawkins, and I'm here to turn my pain into purpose. I stand here before you not today. I stand here before you today not only as a cousin and a sister, but as a constituent, a community member, and someone whose life was forever changed in April of 2022. In April of 2022, my cousin and my brother was murdered by gun violence. In an instant, our family's life split into 2 parts, life before and life after. The shock, the anger, the heartbreak, the unbearable realization that someone you love is gone because access to a weapon made a permanent decision in a temporary moment. For families like mine, gun violence is not a statistic. It's not a policy debate. It's not a headline that fades in 24 hours. It's an empty seat at a dinner table. It's a mother grieving. It's children growing up without someone they love. For a long time, I wrestled with the pain, and I still do. I wrestle with the why. I wrestle with the how. I wrestle with what truly justice looks like. But somewhere in that wrestling, I realized something. Pain can either silence you or it can mobilize you. Today, I chose to let it mobilize me. Turning pain into purpose means refusing to let grief be the end of my story. It means standing here and saying clearly, we can do better. Gun violence prevention is not about politics, it's about people. It's about responsible policies that keep weapons out of dangerous hands. It's about common sense laws that prioritize safety. It's about prevention, accountability, and protecting communities before tragedy strikes again. You have the authority to pass laws, but influence does not only belong to elected officials. You do not have to hold office to hold power. You do not need a title to use your voice. Every community member, every parent, every young person, every advocate has influence. Silence is a choice, and so is courage. We all have a role to play. In my cousin's life, it mattered. And if we truly believe that, then our actions, not just our words, must reflect it. We cannot undo April 2022, but we can decide what happens in April 2026. We can decide how many more families will stand in rooms like this sharing their loss. Turning pain into purpose is about intentionality. So today, I honor my cousin, not only with remembrance, but with resolve. Resolve to advocate, resolve to vote, resolve to demand change, resolve to protect the next generation. His story does not end with gun violence. What we do next, together will define that legacy. Thank you.
All right, so that is Governor Tim Walz, also, folks, there as he introduced a gun violence prevention package to the Minnesota legislature earlier today. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to show you a beautiful shot of Long Island. Here it is. All right, beautiful. Oh yeah, there goes the snow.
Yeah, so they got 28 inches of snow, Nick, here on the very east end of Long Island. This is as far east on Long Island as you can go. Okay. This is the Montauk Lighthouse.
From the shot of the water, I thought this was probably pre-snow, and then, of course, as it widened out, I was like, "Oh, there's the snow."
There's the snow. Yeah,
that is beautiful. I mean, wow, that's a beautiful shot.
So
if you can get there,
we got this special video from the Weather Channel. They're out there. They've been out there for the blizzard. Now, this is the place when I proposed to my wife. It was here at the Montauk Lighthouse.
Oh man!
So we put in a special request, and the Weather Channel sent over this beautiful drone video they shot. And you can see just this, again, this is as far east on Long Island as you can go. I mean, if you went due north from here, you're practically in Rhode Island.
James is upping the ante for guys who are maybe looking to propose.
Montauk Lighthouse, highly recommended.
Man, there you go. That's a beautiful scene. When did you propose? What time of year?
It was not a blizzard.
Okay. But was it cold outside?
No, it was like July.
Okay. Wow.
Like July,
okay.
Like 10 years ago.
Beautiful time of year. We have another piece of video.
We do have another video, and this comes from some friends in my hometown in Smithtown. And so, we've been talking about how they got so much snow up there on Long Island. And so that poses some difficulty on getting out of your homes. So take a look. You have not seen this video, Nick. But they had to get creative on exiting their home because they could not open the doors because of the snow piles.
Okay, that is.
He's okay.
The strategy of getting out of the window, I think he made it a little hard for himself. I feel like he probably should have put one leg through and then.
I don't know. Have you ever tried to climb through a window? I mean, it's not a huge space.
Yeah, but yeah.
He's got 30 inches of soft powder on the other side, right?
Maybe you go head first.
Head first?
Maybe.
That
you have a
worse,
soft landing. If you have a hat on and you have a scarf on, soft landing.
Sure. Okay.
Or maybe you go feet first. There you go, feet first. Like both feet first.
Sure, both that does make sense.
So there you go.
But I saw that in my feed last night, and I was like, may I please put this on the show?
As I watched that, I'm like, there's a better way, and then I look at it a couple more times. I'm like, I don't think there's a better way.
No, I mean, it's very practical. If all of your doors on your house open outward and you're just blocked in by snow, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh man, well, shout out to that guy. At least there was a soft landing for him. That just looks like.
And away he goes.
Oh man, and then the dog's
like, where'd you go?
Where did you go? You fell down. And he's smiling. There you go. All right. Man, that's a lot of snow there. We will continue to track those conditions in not only New York, but also New England area.
Still waiting on the governor of Massachusetts.
This is a live look in Boston right now. Oh, I thought
that was going to be it.
Thought for a
that would
second.
have been good timing.
We're not that lucky here on this show. All right, where do we want to go to next? We want to go to weather. Our weather. We want to go to our weather. Let's check in. This is a live look from Uptown, Bank of America Stadium. A cold, I don't want to say cold, cool day. Did I say cold? Folks in New York watching this and like, that's not cold. A cool day here in Charlotte. Let's check in now with meteorologist Majestic Storm.
Well, good Tuesday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm. It's another cold day outside, and yes, we have quite a bit of cloud coverage out there. At least the snow has come to the end, and also those winds have really calmed down there in the mountains. This morning here in Charlotte, it was gorgeous. That is when we had the most amount of sunshine, but now as we're progressing later into the day, you'll notice more and more clouds. Temperatures over the last couple of days have been a struggle. I mean, we've been really only climbing into the 40s. Overnight tonight, we get to hold on to the clouds, which will ultimately help with slightly warmer overnight lows. And then our high temperatures tomorrow, finally 60 degrees. We'll take it. Later on into the week, we do have some rain chances returning. And then this upcoming weekend, it's going to be very, very nice. So make some outdoor plans. Yesterday, look at this, 43 degrees. That was our overall daytime high. We should be at 59 degrees. So as you can see, even today, we're not even getting close to that, but at least it is getting a little bit warmer. Here's the rest of our day today. So maybe the time you're picking up kids, you're heading home after work, you'll notice that it's dry. It's just not the most beautiful Tuesday. Temperatures only climbing into the 40s, although most of our day will feel like we're in the 30s. Now the mountains, talk about a chilly start to your new week. Yesterday, your highs were only into the 20s. Today, we'll take these 30s, but you will have a ton of cloud coverage later on in the day. 38 degrees there in Boone, 37 in Blowing Rock. I have seen still a handful of snowboarders and skiers out there braving the cold and the wind. We have 46 in Hickory and 47 in Lenore. Those are our high temperatures basically across the board. Everyone will stay below average today. As we're heading down to the south, 50 degrees there in Chesterfield and 48 in Wadesboro. So we got to start out our day with the most amount of sunshine. Now as we're looking at satellite and radar, we're starting to see those clouds really take over. And we did have some flurries early this morning up in the high country. Right now we're dry, but we could have maybe a little bit more by tomorrow morning. Let's talk about the rain though. This is over the next 10 days. This is for Charlotte. So Thursday, you need your rain gear. Lingering impacts as far as that rain goes into Friday as well. I don't think it's going to be an all-day event. And then this upcoming weekend, maybe a small sprinkle on Saturday, but for the most part, this weekend is going to be fantastic. Let's walk you through our futurecast. So here's about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Still not too bad. 40s across the board. And then overnight tonight, this white is indicating the clouds. So we'll start out Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock, cloudy. But hey, at least temperatures will be in the 40s heading out the door tomorrow. Could tap into a little bit of mountain snow, but notice Wednesday afternoon, early evening, we have 60s returning, but those southwesterly winds really is a reason for that. It's ushering in the warmer air, which results in higher temperatures. Thursday, there's early in the day, some scattered showers possible, 7 o'clock. So bus stop forecast could be a little wet, especially north of Charlotte, but then we're watching the second wave right here. That'll be our next best opportunity for rain, maybe a little inconvenient for plans, but remember, we need the rain. Look at this weekend, 74 degrees on Sunday. That is going to be so nice before cooler temperatures quickly return. There's our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Nice mix of sun and clouds today, with really clouds taking over by late this afternoon. 40s for our lows. We're back into the 60s as soon as tomorrow. Keep the rain gear handy though as we're wrapping up the work week, and then hey, head outside this weekend. It's going to be beautiful with 60s and low to mid 70s. Hope you have a great day.
All right, that is your full forecast. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about rumors that are swirling online about self-driving cars. We have Julie Kay here in studio to break it all down. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. All right, drivers here in Charlotte, listen up. Driverless vehicles could be on the way. Rumors are swirling online after people in Uptown say they saw a fleet of Waymo vehicles dropped off. Julie Kay is here to fill us in on what she knows. Before we even get to the rumors, for those who don't know, what is Waymo?
I'm not even sure how to answer that any other way other than it's just a driverless car.
Okay.
Am I up to date on the technology that makes that happen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I just want to put.
They are real.
Yep.
They are in 10 cities so far. I actually think they just announced some expansion today.
Yeah.
Which, to be clear, that one did not include Charlotte. And so if this is true, this is going to come in a later announcement, not the one today.
I think it's Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Orlando.
Yes, and that is in line with what they said about Texas and Florida being their next targets. Gosh, can you imagine a self-driving car on some of those roads in Texas?
Oh,
Texas
man.
is known for their crazy highways. But yeah, it's a self-driving car, a driverless car. Have you taken one, Nick? Ever?
No.
Okay, so I have.
No.
I was in Phoenix about a year ago.
Okay.
And I just thought it would be fun because that's one of the main cities that had one of the first launch cities. Of course, San Francisco really being the leader of the self-driving car technology, being a tech hub. But Phoenix was one of the next cities announced. I called it like I would call an Uber or a Lyft. It appeared. It was very obvious. They all look the same, all the cars. I had it pick me up from a Starbucks in a parking lot. Got a little confused by the parking lot, but it got there safely, took me to my Airbnb, all was well. I did take one again later on in the evening because I was like, oh, I'm an expert now. That one did not let me in, and I did chase it down the road a little bit. I had to call support. They did unlock the car. So it still worked out. I got to support very quickly.
Not a terrible experience, but
No,
a interesting experience.
Mild concern there, but
Yeah.
easily fixed.
This is like, have you seen iRobot? James knows what I'm talking about.
I'm still laughing at the image of Julie chasing the car down the road.
Especially because I was with people and I was like, guys, look at this. Because I had done it earlier successfully. So I was like, I can do it now.
I have a question for Julie, if I may.
Yeah,
just
go.
interject.
Hit me. Yeah.
So you chased it down the road. You
Just a
called
little.
support. They let you in. Did you have any concern that it wasn't going to let you back out?
No, but I do now. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So if this is true, I will be thinking about that. Thank you very much. Also, mind you, I was in heels during this. This is really not a fun time. But that being said, this is, I want to be clear, still at this point a rumor. I've reached out to City of Charlotte, Waymo themselves,
Yep.
NCDOT. Waymo is willing to talk with me later on. They have no announcement right now.
Okay.
City of Charlotte was not aware of that. They don't have to get approved through the City of Charlotte per state law. And then NCDOT is just at this point deferring to Waymo. And so if this is true, I think we're going to have to wait for Waymo to announce it themselves. But I do think it's interesting that, we've kind of had this conversation before of why has it taken so long for these to come to North Carolina. In 2017, our General Assembly actually passed legislation to encourage them to come. Actually, it kind of restricts local governments from restricting the self-driving cars. And so the state has been supportive of this. And so if this is true, I imagine a green light. There isn't much that city council or, county government could really do if people did disagree with it. It would take, I imagine, quite a bit of testing phases. I've also seen online, of course, people being concerned about Charlotte traffic as is. Also like exit 3A we've talked about. There's some spooky exits in Charlotte for sure. So it would take some time, but state government is supportive. It's a similar size city as some of the others, like Nashville, that have already had successful experiences. And also we have most of the time pretty good weather. We don't have a ton of, knock on wood, ice and snow. That would be a problem for something.
Ice storm next week.
Yeah, I know, literally. Sorry, guys. You heard it here first. I didn't mean to manifest that. I knocked on wood. But on paper, Charlotte makes sense for being the next move for Waymo.
Interesting stuff. Julie, when can folks catch the story tonight? I don't want to give away too much, but when can folks catch the story
And
tonight?
will you be in a self-driving car during the story?
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
I will not be. I wish. But 4:30 and 5:30, and we'll have some more reaction from people. I just went up to Uptown and asked people, what do you think? Will you take one? And I'm really curious to see what people in general have to say about this story, because this is definitely a talker.
Yeah, I'm interested too. Again, you can catch Julie this evening. Self-driving cars in Charlotte. Whoo, on 77. At least we have good weather. Julie, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do we want to go to New York, or do we want to go?
Let's take a break, then we'll go to New York.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get an update on the winter weather in the Northeast. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to go to New York City. We're happening right now. We are hearing from officials, including New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, on an update on the conditions there. Let's take a listen in.
So outreach workers can assist. In a code blue, these 311 calls are rerouted to 911. You can also call 311 directly from our Link NYC kiosks or use them to find the locations of warming centers across the city. I also want to express my gratitude to the leaders standing alongside me today, the dedicated professionals manning our emergency operations centers, and every agency staffer that has worked across government to serve New Yorkers. That includes our NYPD tow truck task force, who worked to free stuck vehicles and ensured that emergency vehicles could get to New Yorkers in need. In total, they towed 37 vehicles to safety during the storm, including 7 MTA buses and 21 ambulances. We have received over 1,800 reports of fallen trees, limbs down, and hanging limbs citywide. The Interagency Down Trees Task Force, coordinated by the Parks Department, has been hard at work responding to these reports. As we continue to respond to this blizzard, we are aware that narrow, hilly streets and tight corners on Staten Island were some of the areas hardest hit by the storm. Some parts of Staten Island saw nearly 28 inches of snowfall, the largest amount recorded anywhere in the city. That, combined with high winds, have created large snowdrifts across the island. DSNY has upped their Staten Island snow removal force by 500 personnel, a 210-person increase, added even more pieces of hired equipment, and will be working throughout the day and the evening to clear snow and make roads passable. Thanks to these efforts, 99.2% of roadways on Staten Island have received at least one pass from snow clearing equipment. While New York City is steadily coming back online, there remain some interruptions to service. There will be no collection of trash today. Collection will resume Wednesday evening on the 6 p.m. shift. We will be prioritizing trash and compost collection this week. I ask New Yorkers to be patient throughout this process. Collection trucks are the same size that they've always been, but in many areas, twice the amount of material will be out, so delays are possible. We expect collection will return to normal by Monday. We expect recycling collection to resume next Monday as well. Alternate side parking will be suspended through the end of the week. Now, however, is the perfect time to dig your cars out before the snow hardens into ice. All library branches across the city are open. City buildings as well are open to the public for in-person city services. For New Yorkers relying on public transit, I recommend budgeting some extra time into your commute. All local, limited, and express buses are running with delays. There is reduced service in Staten Island, resulting in significant delays. A number of express trains are running locally. NYC ferries as well are running on a modified weekday schedule today. Regular service will be restored by tomorrow morning. As of 5 a.m. this morning, however, the Staten Island ferry has returned to a regular weekday schedule. As temperatures rise later this week, we will see snow and ice falling from buildings. This can be extremely dangerous. I encourage all New Yorkers to stay alert while walking outside. Property owners, please take steps to clear your roofs, and while doing so, make sure you are implementing proper safeguards, like putting out signage or temporarily closing off the sidewalk. I want to continue to urge New Yorkers to look after yourselves as you shovel snow. Take regular breaks, protect your back and your heart by digging slowly, and take it from me, lift from your knees. Finally, I want to thank all the New Yorkers who exercised caution, stayed inside, and contributed to the citywide effort of keeping one another safe. Thank you, and as always, New York, stay warm and stay safe. I will now pass it over to our NYSEM Commissioner, Christina Farrell.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see, we are still operating at full force in the city's Emergency Operations Center to make sure that conditions are safe and storm cleanup continues as New Yorkers return to daily life. Our emergency management team is coordinating with city and state operational agencies, transportation providers like the MTA and the Port Authority, utilities including Con Ed and PSEG, to support continued plowing and removal operations with a focus on Staten Island, New York City schools, and other critical facilities. The city's continuity of operations plan, which ensures that essential city services can continue during emergencies, will be deactivated today as public buildings have reopened and people are back in the office. I'd like to thank the emergency management team here at NYSEM for working around the clock to help New Yorkers weather this storm. From our public warning specialists who send out Notify NYC messages morning, noon, and night to keep New Yorkers informed, to our on-call teams connecting with thousands of partners in the Situation Room to troubleshoot any storm-related issues and concerns, to our team of field responders who remain hard at work in all 5 boroughs to get the right resources to the right locations to keep neighborhoods safe. Our city's emergency management team works tirelessly with care, creativity, and an unwavering dedication to help the people of New York City. It is still slippery across the city, so please walk carefully and watch for icy patches. Temperatures will only reach the upper 20s and lower 30s today, so we're likely to see areas of black ice, especially on untreated surfaces and even on some roads that are well plowed. Anyone out walking, driving, or cycling should use extra caution. Businesses and property owners should shovel and salt walkways to prevent slips and falls and clear a path of at least 4 feet wide where possible so pedestrians, strollers, and mobility devices can pass safely. If you're coming up or down steps outdoors, use handrails wherever possible. If you are driving, leave extra space between vehicles on the roadway and allow additional time to reach your destination. And for everyone's safety, remember to brush all snow and ice off your vehicle before driving. Snow and ice can slide onto your windshield or blow off your car and hit other vehicles, cyclists, or pedestrians, creating dangerous conditions for everyone on the road. And finally, we have a chance for more snow tomorrow, so please sign up for Notify NYC for more winter weather updates. We received tens of thousands of signups the past few days during this storm. Notify NYC messages are available in 14 languages, including American Sign Language. Text Notify NYC to 692-692. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The sun is shining following a historic storm. I have worked for the Department of Sanitation since 1999 through 7 of the 10 largest snowstorms on record. And they all come with their own challenges. But we face this weather event with years of preparation under our belts. We trained for this all year, and I am proud of the men and women of this department who have been working around the clock to clear snow and ice from our roads. Since the first flakes started to fall, we have spread 144 million pounds of salt across the city, and that number will increase as our sanitation workers continue to plow and salt our roads today, tonight, tomorrow, and as long as we need to. We continue to have 2,600 sanitation workers on 12-hour shifts, assisted by 1,500 snow shovelers and 428 pieces of equipment that we have hired from outside vendors. Regarding the emergency snow shovelers, we have tripled the size of this program in just the last week by increasing outreach, boosting the base pay to $30 an hour, and streamlining the application process. This is hard work, and we very much appreciate the men and women who have signed up to ensure that our city can operate safely this week. If you are interested, you can find out more information at nyc.gov/snow. This storm saw a very high level of localized variation. Each of our Staten Island districts measured 30 inches of snow, while districts in other parts of the city measured nearly half of that. And we are allocating our resources accordingly. The narrow, hilly streets and tight corners of Staten Island were some of the areas hit hardest by the storm. And the high winds have created snow drifts across the island. To address these areas, we have added extra sanitation personnel above the boroughs.
All right, so that is New York City. We want to head now to Boston, Massachusetts. The governor there speaking. Let's take a listen in.
This is an area that was really hard hit, and just wanted to come and check in on people and also thank people like the Red Cross, all the volunteers, the first responders, the crews that are out right now trying to clear snow and clear debris. I just want to thank everybody for all the work that they're doing. I was just inside. This is one of our shelters run by the Red Cross, and you know, people talk about amazing work by police and firefighters and others who transported them from their homes without power, facing really cold temperatures to this shelter where, you know, we were in a lunchroom cafeteria and people are being fed and they're going to be housed and kept warm here. In terms of the state of play right now, as you know, I've activated 350 National Guard. We've got state police throughout the region, and we've got crews coming from other states assisting our own Department of Transportation with as much equipment as possible. So we have trucks and plows and loaders and what we need to remove the snow and also the debris. This, region down here, of course, the Cape saw wind gusts of 70, 80 miles an hour, a lot of debris. So we're looking to clear that as quickly as possible. And then also the utility companies for days had prepped for this. They've got crews in from as far away as Canada on the ground right now to remove that debris as well, get up in the bucket trucks and restore power. I've been in close touch with the utilities, including recently just a few minutes ago, and I know that they are working as quickly as possible. What I've asked of utilities is let us know, give residents an actual estimate of when they're going to get their power restored, because people need to plan, families need to plan. So that is information they are going to get out. But that's the state of play right now, and thank goodness it's sunny today. But I know that everybody is going to continue to work as quickly as possible to remove snow and, most importantly, to get power restored, especially in regions that have been hard hit down here, the Cape and the South Coast.
Governor, are you satisfied with the response at this point? I know it's only been 24 hours, but it's bad down here.
It's bad down here, and talking to residents who've lived here a while, they never seen anything like this. So we had hurricane force winds. We had a huge dump of snow. I mean, the total's just, blown through records. So this is a major, major weather event, a major, major storm. I am really proud of the teams, local, state, working together to try to help the volunteers. I think that people were prepared and doing the best that they could. But with the snow totals, the wind gusts, it's just a tough situation. But I'm confident that everybody is working as hard as they can. I also thought it was really important to, call a state of emergency, impose a travel ban, get trucks and equipment in from other states as quickly as possible ahead of time, and activate the National Guard. So I'm glad we had assets deployed, and now we just got to work it.
What's your message to residents that are anxiously waiting to get their power back? Hang in there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel terrible for anybody without power. It's a really tough situation. I just came from talking to families and folks who were without power, and we've got folks who have health conditions, who are on medication. We've got little kids. I know the Red Cross and the teams are doing an outstanding job looking to care for people. But my message is the utilities have got the crews. We know that they're going to work as quickly as possible. And what I've asked of the utilities is let us know what that timeline is going to be for when you're going to get your power back on. And I know people will continue to work as quickly as possible. But anything we can do, and a reason I'm here is because I want to be on the ground, and I know the LG does as well. What do we need to do? What do we need to activate in addition to make sure people are getting the resources that they need?
What does a storm like this and the loss of power make you think about the state's investment in the grid at this point?
Look, it's always tough when you've got wires and poles that are in the air, right? And we've got trees, and then we've got natural forces. So, someday we'd like to see a grid built out that's actually underground, frankly, where we eliminate, these kinds of situations. But we got to work with what we've got, an infrastructure that's been built over decades. It's why, as governor, I've always invested in improvements to the grid and transmission. But right now, today is about getting power back on. It's about getting those trucks up, those crews out, getting the power restored. We could talk about important policy matters later, but right now it's about making sure that people are fed, housed, and kept warm.
And this clipper system that's coming through, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I mean, that's why it's good it's sunny today. We've got to, do everything we can with teams. That's why I wanted extra support down in the region, clearing out as much snow as possible and getting that power restored as quickly as possible so that we're better prepared for the next weather event.
Some would say this was a pretty brutal winter so far. Do you have a message for Old Man Winter?
You know, look, no, I mean, we're New Englanders. We're tough, right? It's a tough situation for a lot of people, especially those who find themselves without power. But, you know, look, we're New Englanders, you know, we're Massachusetts. We know how to deal with this and also come together. And I really appreciate the support of other states. You know, I reached out to Governor Scott in Vermont this morning to thank him for his assistance. And I've talked to other governors as well. But, you know, it's about teamwork. And that's what we see happening. And, you know, look, what day is it? We're almost in March, right? So it can only go on for so much longer. We're going to get there, no doubt.
Did this storm make you want to become a meteorologist or become a governor again?
I'm very happy with my job. Feel very fortunate to have my job. Yeah. I don't want that job. Although I think the meteorologists called it right. You know, they said it was going to be a doozy, and it was a doozy. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you. Take care. Be careful out there.
All right, so we just heard from Maura Healey, the governor there of Massachusetts, giving us an update. Also thanking workers at the homeless shelter there behind us, giving resources to folks in need. All right, we'll have more updates on conditions in the Northeast when we come back from break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to go now to Park City, Utah, where we're going to the Corey Richens trial. This is a live look. Corey Richens, Utah author accused of killing her husband. Let's take a listen in.
Oh, maybe I mixed that up.
I think I did submit a section of the epiglottis, and I'm not sure whether that was specifically because he had a history of allergies that was reported. And just to confirm that there was no evidence of anaphylaxis.
And was there?
The tissue was denuded, but I did not see any evidence of histamine release granules that were in the tissue itself. So I can't, it did not appear that anaphylaxis was an issue.
Did you send out samples or send out samples to the health department for disease and fungal cultures?
So I did for the bacterial cultures, I did for the TB stain or the Mycobacterium stain, and yeah, I don't have the autopsy report in front of me, so I can't answer a lot of this stuff.
Would it be helpful to look at your report?
It would be, yes.
They approach the witness. Of course. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes, this is the report that was generated by myself after the autopsy examination was performed on Mr. Richens.
Can you find the portion of your report where you're talking about disease, the samples that you sent to the public health lab?
So for the public health lab, we did an Auramine O stain, which is a special stain that they do looking for acid-fast bacteria, and that's to help rule out tuberculosis, which again would be something that would cause that type of granuloma pattern on the lungs. And that was negative as reported by them because they observed it. I did not look at that particular slide. In addition, we did bacterial cultures, again on the right and left lung. Those grew up multiple organisms, and when I see that, usually what it means is it's just normal flora from the respiratory tree, and then as you are dead, these organisms just continue to grow inside your body, and so you will see more of them show up with these postmortem cultures. If the person was dead from a specific bacterial infection, say like streptococcal pneumonia or something like that, you should predominantly just see the streptococcal bacteria and not all of this other stuff quite as broadly. So that just looked like postmortem change. And then we did a blood bacterial culture, which also, it came back no growth, and so there was no evidence of any kind of sepsis. The COVID swab for SARS-CoV-2, which is the organism name, that was positive. So he did test positive for COVID. And my understanding is that he had been sick with COVID-like symptoms, more of like a cold, recently prior to his death. But at the time of autopsy, he did not show any evidence of like pneumonia that we would normally see for someone who's dying from COVID.
Your Honor, There's a good little portion left. I wanted to know, based on time, if this was, could we break and return to Dr. Ulmer, or would it be?
Any objection, Mr. Ramos?
No, that everybody would like that.
Okay. I need you to sit tight for just a moment, if you don't mind. Folks, let's take a lunch break. We have lunch for you. It's 12:10. Why don't we come back at 12:45? Is that agreeable, Council?
Here's to the state.
Judge, if I may, if we could get up just a little bit more, let's get the issue that we're dealing with the expert.
No problem.
Is that okay?
1 o'clock?
I'll take anything. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. 1 p.m. We'll be back on the record. I appreciate it. Please stand for the jury.
All right, so this is day 2 of the trial of Corey Richens, the Utah mom accused of killing her husband. All right, let's step aside, come back here at home, and let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So this afternoon, questions are rising in West Charlotte as plans to rezone a property for a new data center are in the works. I said West Charlotte. I meant to say East Charlotte. WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson joins us live. Walker, where are you? And fill us in.
Yeah, so we're actually right here on Hood Road, right where it intersects with Stony Waters Court. This is exactly where the data center is being confused. You might be confused behind me because you're like, where would it go? So this is actually the property right here. It goes back to this cell tower that's right here. So this is the proposal to rezone for a data center here in East Charlotte. This is actually something that's been proposed for some time now. It just has kind of gained some attention as people in the community are having meetings about it. The developer is still in that stage, or the property owner that's proposing this is still in the stage of just speaking with community members. So this has not even gone to the city of Charlotte just yet. There's not even a scheduled date for it to go to the city yet, according to council members. JD. So again, this is still very early stages, but gaining a lot of attention from residents. The proposal is on about 60 acres, and it neighbors it right up behind these homes here. Add on the fact that I'm across the street in another residential neighborhood as well. So a lot of concerns from people, about noise pollution, what this will do to the area. We've also had these concerns raising about energy costs and what this means. Obviously, Governor Josh Stein had a report from his team last week that we'll reference tonight in our story, kind of about what this means for data center and energy costs across the state. But people just kind of growing concern, and also what does Charlotte East, or does East Charlotte want a data center? And shockingly, Councilmember JD said that, to be blunt and transparent, he doesn't want data centers in East Charlotte. He doesn't feel like that represents what this area is trying to do. There's a lot of stretches of areas that do not have any commercial development, do not have grocery stores, that are more just residential space, and they don't really understand or see this fitting into their landscape here.
Yeah, interesting story there, Walker. You can catch Walker again at 4 and 5 o'clock. Walker, thank you for your time. All right. All right. Walker Lawson there again on that East Charlotte data center proposal. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to go now to Capitol Hill, where we are hearing from Senate Democrats. This is Senator Chuck Schumer speaking ahead of the State of the Union tonight, which you can catch here on WCNC Plus at 9 p.m. Let's take a listen in.
Because of Trump's policies, costs, chaos, corruption is what they lead to. Never in our lifetime have we gone into a State of the Union where the president's rhetoric and the country's reality are so far apart. Donald Trump's first year back in office can be boiled down to 3 words: costs, chaos, corruption. That's the slogan of Trump 2.0. Costs, chaos, corruption. That's what his administration brings to the American people. Let's start with costs. Americans frankly don't care what Trump has to say at the State of the Union because they're too worried about the state of their wallets. They're worried about the state of their rent, the state of their energy bills, the state of their health care costs. Democrats offer something different, a future with lower costs, and it's why a few weeks ago we rolled out a housing agenda to help people afford a home and rent. Why, very soon, led by Ben Ray Lujan, why in a few weeks, led by Ben Ray Lujan, we're going to talk about food costs, especially the price of beef, and Democrats will release new plans in the weeks and months to come to lower the cost of child care, health care, energy, and so much more. Americans are tired of the chaos. They're tired of masked agents barging into people's homes without warrants. That's not law and order. That's chaos. The American people see it. But sadly, the chaos does not end there. Look at the mess Donald Trump has created with his tariffs. He said, "The hell with you," and doubled down on his tariffs after the Supreme Court struck him down. The hell with the American people and their costs. He had a moment to escape this noose around his neck, the tariffs he proposed, but he doubled down and went right back at him. And finally, we've never had a president as corrupt and as crooked as Trump. While people are paying more for rent and losing insurance, Trump's net worth has soared by at least $1 billion since becoming president. He wants to make himself the richest man in America, and it's with your money, Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer. That's how he's doing it. We won't get any answers to these things. And one more aspect of corruption. While he'll talk for a long time tonight, we know there's one topic Trump will avoid. When will he finally release all the Epstein files? Another example of the corruption of this administration. Democrats offer Americans something better, a future with lower costs and greater optimism. And finally, I want to thank my good friend Senator Padilla, who will offer a Spanish response to the State of the Union. Senator Padilla is going to tell Americans the story they deserve to hear, one of hope, one of opportunity, where we celebrate the values that make us great. Donald Trump's not focused on tackling costs. He and his cronies seem to be more focused on tackling senators. Instead of driving down costs, he's driving over people's pocketbooks. So tonight, Americans aren't going to get the real State of the Union. Those days are long gone under Trump. What Americans will get is a state of deception, a state of denial. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chuck. It has truly been a year since Donald Trump has come in. I think we all feel like it's been a lot longer than that. As Chuck noted, costs are up, chaos is up, corruption is up. No one maybe understands that more than our state in the last few months. He has spent his first year in office dividing people, catering to the wealthy and making life harder for everyone else, pitting neighbors against each other by unleashing thousands of untrained, unaccountable, masked ICE agents in the towns, in the streets of Minnesota, creating two justice systems, one for those who can pay to play and one for those who can't. We've seen this firsthand. That Hmong elder that got dragged out of his house after his door got rammed through, what was he supposed to do at that moment? They throw him in a car in his underwear and they found out they get the wrong guy after driving him around for an hour. Or the small business owners hit by these tariffs. My guest to the State of the Union tonight is a brewer from Moorhead, Minnesota, right up near the Canadian border. He's been walloped by these tariffs, walloped, and can barely stay in business. Those are the people that are having to be the roadkill for all of these policies that really don't put the American people first. They put Donald Trump first. Trump knows his agenda is unpopular. That's why I am sure he'll go there with much bluster tonight to the House floor. But what I know is that he's afraid of four things. Number one, he's afraid of the voters. He's afraid of the voters in the midterms. Look at what's happened in these elections, whether it's the Virginia's governor's race, whether it's the legislative race in Texas, whether it's mayor's races from Miami to Omaha. Number two, he's afraid of the word affordability. He's called it a hoax and actually said he wanted to keep housing prices up. Number three, and I didn't see this one coming, it's not on my Wordle guest list, but he is afraid of the word court, C-O-U-R-T, the Supreme Court. And I will note, I didn't think that I'd have the hottest ticket in town, but sitting behind the Supreme Court while Donald Trump looks down on them will be interesting tonight. Number 4, he's afraid of the people of Minnesota. Why? Because like so many people across this country, they stood up 50,000 strong in a peaceful march in below zero weather. They stood up and helped strangers get food and help their neighbors and help kids get to school. So while he enriches himself at Americans' expense, and the Republicans, sadly, in Congress rubber stamp his divisive agenda, Democrats are fighting to bring down costs, end the chaos, and fight corruption.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Senator Schumer, colleagues. Thank you all for being here. Don't want to be too repetitive, but I will add a few dimensions to it I think we can all expect to hear tonight. I have a slightly different way of looking at it. I think we're going to hear 2 different States of the Union. One from the president that's going to be full of lies for sure, and deceptions and distractions and trying to point fingers and blame others for his failures. And they're going to hear the truth. Governor Spanberger's doing a response to the State of the Union after we hear from President Trump, and I'm honored. Thank you, Senator Schumer, for allowing me to also respond to the State of the Union in Spanish. Similar themes that I'm going to be touching upon. Number 1, the increased costs, the affordability crunch. And we've seen for the last 13 months under Donald Trump, a Republican majority and a White House working together to put billionaires first at the expense of working families. Working families are the ones that are dealing with these higher prices. Small business owners dealing with the impact of the tariffs, which we knew were unlawful from the beginning, and the Supreme Court finally made that official last Friday. We're dealing with a president and a Republican majority in Congress that is increasing our health care costs, making health care either more expensive or too expensive, all to underwrite tax breaks for billionaires. Democrats have a better way. We will work to bring down everyday costs for working families. I can't ignore what's happening, not just Minnesota. It started in my hometown of Los Angeles, and it's reached every corner of the country. Out of control, ICE, CBP, and other federal agents violating constitutional rights each and every day through their mass deportation agenda, trying to achieve some false quotas by Stephen Miller. This is not a focus on the worst of the worst. This is not a focus on dangerous, violent criminals. The vast majority of the people that have been detained, arrested, many deported without due process, do not have criminal convictions. They've rounded up even legal immigrants. They've rounded up even United States citizens and veterans. This is chaos. This is terror meant to distract from the failed economic agenda and more, and we will call it out. A third area that I'm going to touch on tonight, because we can't ignore it, is not just our democracy broadly, but elections. The Trump administration is not being shy about threatening to undermine and steal this November elections. They know that their record is not just unpopular, but has been so harmful to working families that their only hope to stay in power is to initiate a voter purge. That's why the Department of Justice has been weaponized to try to get their hands on voter files from states across the country. That's why Secretary Noem was in Arizona last week, saying that their goal is to make sure that the, quote, the right people vote. And that's why through failed executive orders and very bad legislation known as the Save America Act, they're trying to make it harder for eligible Americans to register to vote and actually cast their ballot. And so we will come away from tonight with both a call to action, making sure people start today preparing to exercise their right to vote this November, because that is how we will realize real change and hold this administration accountable. But also remind people that we've been through dark chapters in our nation's history. And we've always come out of these dark periods into brighter days. It's up to the people to make it so. When I returned from the Homeland Security press conference experience back in June of last year from Los Angeles. That's one of the things that I shared with my colleagues.
Right.
Only we can save ourselves. Nobody's coming to rescue us. Only Americans will save America. And that will be the contrast to the lies and deceptions of President Trump tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Badillo. We know you're going to knock them dead tonight. Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Chuck. If grandstanding paid for groceries, the American people would see the president ride to their rescue tonight. But it doesn't work that way. We know what's going to happen. The president's going to deliver empty platitudes about the success of his first year back in office, but the American people will not be fooled. Seen the poll numbers lately? 60% of Americans disapprove of Trump's performance. 47% strongly disapprove, according to the new post-ABC Ipsos poll. That's because Americans know who cut $1 trillion out of Medicaid, who eliminated the Affordable Care Act's enhanced premium tax credits, who alienated our closest allies abroad, who unleashed a chaotic tariff trade policy. That man would be the president of the United States. America knows that it's Trump's militarized federal immigration agents who are sowing fear in Chicago, Minneapolis, and cities across the country, and killing innocent people in the process. Friday, I was back in Chicago, and I went to Norridge, Illinois, a suburb of the city. I was there with Ruben Torres. It was the saddest day of his life. It was the memorial service for his daughter, a 16-year-old who died of brain cancer. Not that many months before, Ruben had been at the Home Depot parking lot looking for odd jobs. The ICE agents descended upon him, broke his window of his car, arrested him. He begged them to let him go home. His daughter, 16-year-old daughter, had just returned from the hospital with brain cancer. He wanted to be with her, and he promised to bring her some food. They said no. They shipped him away for 2 weeks before they dropped all charges against him. That Friday, in that chapel, we laid to rest his beautiful daughter. She lived just long enough to see the court rule in her father's favor that he can stay in the United States. That is part of the policy of Donald Trump. He says he's going after the worst of the worst, the terrorists, the murderers, the rapists, the criminally insane. Ruben Torres was none of those things, and yet he suffered a loss at a time in his family that he'll never forget. All Americans know that shouting weaponization and witch hunt for years, Trump has orchestrated a weaponized Justice Department to protect himself and his cronies. In America's 250th year, our democracy is facing a test under this president, but Senate Democrats are fighting to bring down costs in the chaos and fight corruption.
Thank you, Dick. Next, we have Senator Kelly.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to be brief. In 1 year, Donald Trump has made the American people poorer and less safe. Half of Americans are having a hard time affording food. To give a big, giant tax cut to the wealthiest Americans, Donald Trump, in a year, is kicking hundreds of thousands, if not more than 1 million people off of their health care. Young people can't afford a place to live. My constituents in Arizona are really struggling. They're much worse off today than they were a year ago. And this president is focused on making himself wealthier. Right before I came over here, I had Fox News on. Yes, I do watch Fox News sometimes, along with everything else. And he was selling crappy watches. You know, this president sells to his supporters bad tennis shoes, bad meat, wine, watches, meme coins, other crypto, all to make himself and his family and his friends wealthier at the expense of his supporters and the American people. And it's wrong. I understand some of my colleagues are not going to be there tonight, and I totally understand that. For me personally, I'm going to be sitting there in the House to make a point to this president, who about 3 weeks ago tried to indict me and send me to jail for something I said, something that he didn't like. He and Pete Hegseth are trying to prosecute me. In the case of the Department of Defense, trying to reduce me in rank and take away some of my pension. So I will be sitting there to make sure that he knows that so far he has failed and that the American people are really not into this. He's violated my constitutional rights. He's violated the constitutional rights of thousands of people across the country, especially when you consider the folks in Los Angeles and Minnesota. We've got 2 dead Americans, scores of other beaten up by federal agents who are poorly trained and not following any kind of standards of procedures for law enforcement. I'm the son of 2 police officers. I know it's a hard job, but what these folks are doing in Minnesota is wrong, and I think in some cases it's criminal. They're going into people's houses without warrants. This agency is out of control and needs to be overhauled. I was in Munich last week. I think to say there is a profound loss of trust in the United States is, I think, even really comes up short of what our relationship is now with most of our allies. And I got to say, if you're Greenland, you're now afraid of us. It's going to take generations to repair the damage that this president did in just 1 year. So I'm not looking forward to this speech. You know, I expect the president to not be straight with the American people and to not have an explanation to them about why they are poorer and less safe. But I'll be in that chamber tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. Thank you, Chuck. Everyone, thank you all for being here. Look, when you all are at the grocery store, just like people all over the country, you know if food is more expensive or if it's not. And the reason I say that is, as Senator Klobuchar reminded us moments ago, President Trump keeps calling all of this a hoax. The notion that food is more expensive, that everything President Trump promised would be less expensive is now more expensive. And all he's doing is putting more and more dollars in his own pocket. What Donald Trump's doing is just making life harder for each and every one of you, for each and every one of the people across America, for each and every one of us. His administration cut food assistance at a level that we've never even imagined could occur. Grocery prices remain high, forcing seniors, veterans, families, moms and dads, grandma and grandpas, and kids to simply pay more for less. All of this, well, we've heard time and time again, and we see it. All he's doing is finding ways to make himself richer. Take $1 from the American people, put it in his pocket. That's all he cares about. As every one of my colleagues has reminded us here today, as well as Leader Schumer, look, it just comes down to this. Costs, chaos, and corruption, one after another. Pick an issue. Pick a day. Pick an hour of the day. I mean, heck, even pick a time of the day when the president can't sleep and decides to go to social media and tell the American people how he's lining his own pockets, how he's creating more chaos, and he's not shy about the corruption. He just says he's going to do it. One lie after another. And that's what we're going to hear tonight. One lie after another from this president to the American people. He's going to tell them how handsome he is, how nice his hair looks. And he's going to ignore all the challenges that people are facing while complimenting himself and saying that the American people just don't understand what's going on. Look, as we come together tonight, let's not forget about the high costs that are hurting families, how expensive food is for each and every one of you in this room. You know the difference between the truth and the bullshit. There's something that we can do about this and coming together and just tell the facts. I hope that that's what comes across tonight while holding this president accountable. And I certainly look forward to hearing from Governor Abigail Spanberger and from United States Senator Alex Padilla.
Thank you. Last but not least, Senator Gallego.
I always bring the rookie to be the cleanup hitter. First of all, thank you everyone for being here.
Has a 300 batting average.
I do. It gets you into the Hall of Fame. Look, what we're going to hear tonight is very simple. This president has made this country sicker and poorer. And if you look at every way that has occurred, it has been deliberative. Number one, what did this president do as soon as he got in? He went right after Medicaid and started cutting the most vulnerable people in this country. And I'm not talking just people in our urban areas. Rural Arizona. I traveled rural Arizona. I was talking to some of our hospital systems that are worried about how they're going to keep their systems open because they know now that this administration has abandoned them, and they're going to have to make some really hard decisions. Will they keep their OB ward open? Will they keep their x-ray machines open? Will they have to shut down their emergency room? Why? Because this president wanted to make sure they had enough money to give the richest of the richest a tax cut. And what was left over to that, they used to supercharge this massive, massive deportation policy that is racially profiling people, pulling over Americans, violating their Fourth Amendment rights, and killing Americans in the streets. That is what this president started with. And let's move on forward there. How much sicker can you get? When we all had an agreement, we all said, yes, healthcare costs are expensive. We all understand that things can be better. But the last thing we should do is pull the rug out from millions of Americans that rely on these healthcare subsidies. And now we have millions of Americans that are making a hard choice between, shall I buy health insurance for my family, or shall I just risk it and keep going? That president and these Republicans made that choice. There are millions of Americans right now that are suffering. Either they're having to pay more and now they're poorer, or they're not getting health insurance and now they're sicker. That was a decision by this administration. And every day they're making a decision that makes things harder and harder. We all talk about grocery prices. Let me tell you about grocery prices. I have 3 kids, all under the age of 10. I have to feed those kids, and it is expensive. Thank God I get a good salary, but I cannot imagine how someone like my mom, raising 4 kids on her own, can deal with these grocery prices every day. And then this president just treats the tariffs as if it's his little toy that he can manipulate.
All right, so you're listening live to Senate Democrats there on Capitol Hill as they hold a press conference ahead of the State of the Union tonight at 9 o'clock, where you can catch it here on WCNC Plus. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. So we are getting an inside look at the Union County Sheriff's Office Crime Lab. Deputies say it plays a major role in delivering justice for victims. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre got a look inside that crime lab in Union County. So Jesse, how does it exactly work?
So, one good thing is they're able to do a lot of things here when it comes to evidence and so forth. A crime scene happens, evidence is collected, it's processed and analyzed, and that is what is needed, right, to really turn that around to build cases. And so one of the things the Union County Sheriff is really focused on is expanding the technology and devices that they can do in-house. Now, of course, they have the state crime labs, and we just, a couple weeks ago, Attorney General Jeff Jackson talked about the milestone of having that 10,000 lead, and just the crime work that's being done using the state crime lab. Well, a lot of stuff sent to the crime lab is great. However, sometimes it takes a little bit more time. So being able to do things like dealing with fingerprints. They just actually also created their own chemistry room so they can do a lot of their toxicology reports, testing DWI tests for any alcohol or any other substances. They also can do a lot of their digital forensics. So anything, nowadays you can't do anything without a cell phone, a computer, and so forth. So all that forensic evidence, they can do a lot of that work here. And again, all of this in-house work means that they can turn around evidence leads for detectives and so forth faster so that they can solve cases and really get justice for families faster.
And Jesse will have more on this interesting story there at 4 and 6 o'clock. Jesse, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Bye, Nick.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. We want to head now to D.C., Capitol Hill, where happening right now on the Senate floor, we are hearing from Senator Tim Kaine out of Virginia. He's speaking there. Let's take a listen in.
Results of incompetent abilities will be consigned to oblivion, as myself must soon be to the mansions of rest. Relying on its kindness in this as in other things, and actuated by that fervent love towards it, which is so natural to a man who views in it the native soil of himself and his progenitors for several generations, I anticipate with pleasing expectation that retreat in which I promise myself to realize, without alloy, the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens, the benign influence of good laws under a free government, the ever-favorite object of my heart, and the happy reward, as I trust, of our mutual cares, labors, and dangers. George Washington, the 17th of September, 1796.
Under the previous order, the leadership time is reserved. Under the previous order, the Senate will begin in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
All right, so there's pause in the discussion there on the Senate floor. Ahead of the State of the Union time, President Trump will deliver that at 9 p.m. In front of Congress here on WCNC Plus. You can watch it live. But for now, we want to shift over to Georgia, Barrow County, Georgia. That's in the metro Atlanta area, where a state investigator testified Tuesday that Colt Gray's father revealed his 14-year-old son had become aggressive and was in need of mental health counseling in the months leading up to the 2024 deadly rampage at a deadly high school. Again, Colin Gray, 55 years old, pleaded not guilty on 2 counts of second-degree murder, along with other charges. Let's take a listen in.
No, sir.
Were you interested in any of those folks?
No, sir.
Would you act like you were when you talked to Cole?
No, sir.
And you didn't tell the interviewer that? You did not tell the interviewer you would act as if you were interested when he told you about the school shooters?
Not that I remember, no, sir.
Okay. You remember telling the interviewer Colt would act like that kind of stuff was normal?
Yes, sir.
That it was common knowledge?
Yes, sir.
You would say that some of the stuff that he would put on the Pinterest boards, did you tell the interviewer he would also print out photos of them?
Yes, sir.
Or print out articles?
Yes, sir.
And stuff like that and put it on the walls?
Yes, sir.
Would your dad ever go into Colt's room?
Yes, sir.
Would your dad ever go into the computer room?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that your dad usually never goes in there?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer why Colt would change his account so much?
No, sir.
Did you ever tell the interviewer it was because he was nervous about police?
No, sir.
That he was nervous about the FBI?
No, sir.
That he was eerie about that kind of stuff?
No, sir.
That he would try to avoid anything that's connected to them?
No, sir.
That he would try his best to hide himself?
No, sir.
You didn't tell any of that stuff to the interviewer?
Not that I remember, no.
Not that you remember. Okay. Do you remember telling the interviewer that the account names were just clusters of numbers and letters and stuff that Colt used?
No, sir.
That his usernames or account names were just random sequences of these different letters and numbers?
No, sir.
You don't remember telling them that?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember telling the interviewer that Colt would watch stuff on YouTube?
No, sir.
You don't remember telling him that he would watch court videos?
No, sir.
You don't remember telling the interviewer he would watch footage of other people?
No, sir.
You don't remember telling the interviewer Colt would watch videos of people he looked up to?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer what he would watch on Twitch?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that he would talk to you, Colt would talk to you on Discord?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that Discord was one of those that he routinely changed his name very quickly, his username?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that he would look stuff up about different people on Reddit?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that Colt would have friends that he spoke to on Discord?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer on the morning of the shooter that Colt was acting kind of different?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that Colt told you about making a video?
Yes, sir.
Why did that seem strange or weird?
I forgot, sir.
Do you remember when Colt left for school that morning?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember seeing his backpack?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember seeing a big piece of poster board sticking out of his backpack?
Yes, sir.
Was it wrapped up, the poster board?
Yes, sir.
Was there a hat on top of the poster board?
I don't remember.
Do you remember if the poster board, I think I just asked this, but bear with me, the poster board stuck up out of the backpack?
Yes, sir.
Did you think that was strange? Did he have this giant poster board sticking out of his backpack?
Yes, sir.
How long had you been in school at that point?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
So, no, you're okay, that's fine. September, when did school start?
I don't remember, sir.
Okay, had you been in for like a couple weeks?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember, had Colt been going to school consistently or not consistently at that time?
Not consistently.
Okay. Did you ask Colt about the poster board sticking out of his backpack?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember if he said anything about what it was?
He said that it was for a project at school.
Did that seem strange to you?
Not at the moment, no.
You said that, do you remember telling the interviewer that you and Colt would text each other a lot?
No, sir.
Did you guys text each other a lot? And a lot's one of those weird words that can be different. Did you guys text?
Yes, sir.
How often would you text each other? Per day. Let's just use one day as an example.
We wouldn't text every day, but when we did, it wasn't like long conversations, I don't think.
Okay. Did he ever text you any memes?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any specific ones?
No, sir.
You said you saw pictures and let me ask you this. You said you saw pictures on the wall that Colt had put on the wall.
Yes, sir.
What room was that in?
It was the room across from the bathroom.
Across from the bathroom. Okay. Did you know were they photographs of people?
Yes, sir.
Did you know who the photographs of the people in the photographs were?
Not by name, but I knew that they had something to do with shootings.
Okay. Do you remember telling the interviewer that your dad didn't know who those people were?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that Colt wouldn't talk around that kind of stuff around your dad?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that Colt was allowed to be around guns?
Yes, sir.
You remember telling the interviewer that Colt and his dad would go to the shooting range sometimes?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that they would go to the range once a year, something like that?
No, sir.
Do you think it was more often?
I don't know, sir.
Okay. And do you remember telling the interviewer that the guns were long guns that they would go to the range with?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that when Colt would get into these arguments or fights with your dad, he never had the gun?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that you and your dad had had a conversation about Colt having anger issues?
Yes, sir.
And is that when you were talking to your dad about trying to find him a therapist?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling the interviewer that your dad was very close to having a therapist or counselor set up for Colt?
No, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just hit the top of the hour a minute ago. I'm Colin Mayfield inside the Impact Studio. We have some breaking news for you happening in Washington right now, the state of Washington. There's a scene where 5 people are dead after a stabbing. This is a very active scene right now. So let's go to this as they are in their noon show. We're going to listen in along with them. All right, let's give you a little context as we get some sound back on the air here for you. Because this is an incident around the Lake Catherine area where multiple people have called 911 to report that a man stabbed these individuals. So 5 people are dead, including apparently the suspect. This is just coming out in the last 4 or 5 hours here. Apparently a man was seen stabbing these individuals in the street. this place called Key Peninsula just this morning. So the Pierce County Sheriff's Office, they have confirmed this is an ongoing situation. Do we have the feed?
So like I
All right, let's
said,
go to this
4
now, right
people
now.
dead here just west of Purdy from a stabbing, and we also know that 32-year-old male suspect is dead. We do expect to learn more in the coming hours. Like I said, it's a very active scene that just started around 9:30 this morning, so we will continue to bring new information right here on King 5. Back to you.
Connor, thank you. In Snohomish County now, a driver is in the hospital after a crash involving a school bus on I-5 near Marysville. It happened in the northbound lanes just south of Highway 529. It was around 7.
All right, folks, that was a quick turn there. As I said, they are in their noon show, so we'll have more for you. Going to take a quick 2-minute break. Stay with us here on WCNC Plus. We'll see you in 2. Welcome back, everyone, inside the Impact Studio. We have Miles Harris sitting down with us here. And Miles, you're working on a story about mental health, and I just want to shout out, you did a story the other day about a co-responder program, right? Mm-hmm. About a mental health liaison who kind of goes with an officer to a mental health crisis scene. So kind of taking this forward now and learning about an organization who is really stepping up in our community with mental health and really working with kids. And we know, especially in the United States, since 2020, suicides among children have shot through the roof. It's just too many. So just talk about this organization and what they're doing, the impact that they are creating here in Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely, Colin. So the Alexander Youth Network, they're an organization based in here in Charlotte, obviously. And so what they really focus on is any type of crisis, any type of foster care, mental health for kids, the youth in our community is really what they focus in on. And so the story today that we got a chance to do is we got to highlight one of the actual employees on their staff. And so this is a guy, his name is Brooks Shelley. Him and his partner, they got involved with this organization about 10-15 years ago, where volunteers for kids would do what they call lunch buddies. So they would go to the site, the campus, and they would meet with these kids. They'd have lunch with them, try to just interact with them in any way, shape, or form. Fast forward to 2026, and now he works on the staff of this organization. And so it's like really kind of a full circle moment for him and for his family, and being able to combine both the professional and the personal side of things when it comes to the impact that they're trying to make on these kids. Really hit home for them, and really for the kids that they interact with on a daily basis. And so the one thing that I can tell you, like, Colin, when you like see these stories, it's like the people are like walking sound bites, right? Like they just take everything and they say anything. And the one word that I can tell you that really stuck out to me in talking with Brooks is the word hope. And so, like, hearing him say it, seeing him saying it, seeing what that means with their questions that we're asking and things of that nature, really, really puts into perspective the work that they're doing, and especially what him and his partner are doing as well with AYN. And so we're looking forward to kind of telling that story tonight.
Okay, so remind me the age group again.
They start with the kids as young as 5. 5 years old, and they can go all the way up to about like 16, 17, 18 years old. And so, and they've adopted, him and his partner have adopted 3 kids, and now they even have some grandkids as well. And so this is family. And that's like, it's awesome to kind of see him feel like, hey, I was able to put my time in as a volunteer, but I wasn't having enough of it yet. I wanted more. Now that I'm working with this organization and doing the same thing and hoping to inspire kids and trying to get that brighter future. We talk about that, we say that in stories, but to see it and feel it here, it felt like that way.
That is cool. Does he, we kind of talked about this just for a second before you went on. Did he talk about social media and the impact that that's having on kids, or maybe any of the trauma that these kids are going through? Is there any specificity that he kind of told you about, or what these kids are working through? Because, I mean, it can be a myriad of things.
Yeah, it can be a lot of things. And I think a lot of the kids that they go into and deal with, are especially in these trauma type of cases, is that they feel like an outcast. Like they're not one that belongs in society, or that they're not normal, or they get looked at in a certain way. And so they just try to bring that normalcy back to these kids and make them not feel like an outcast, like they don't belong in our society, or that they can't be a normal person. And so they're just trying to connect those dots, but then also letting people know that, hey, we're here, this is what we can do, this is what we can't, this is what we do, and we obviously need help with that as well. So it hits a lot of those areas, but the biggest thing is just trying to make these kids feel as normal as they are, and then hoping that they can obviously spring out and succeed into our society.
And I'm sure you probably talked about the need, because I mean there are not enough mental health therapists. I mean, my wife is a therapist, has her own company, so I realize and I understand how busy she is, and sometimes it's access, right? Maybe it's insurance, and that for me really hurts, because I've been in a situation as a young kid where I've known people that could have needed. I had a friend that committed suicide at a young age, didn't necessarily know anything, right? And mental health, I mean, we just really started talking about this over the last decade. This really wasn't, I mean, as a kid and even as like a teenager, I mean, I hate to say I stuffed things in, but I mean, it really wasn't something you discussed, with.
I mean, we talk about it. I mean, but that's the first step, right? Is at least having that conversation. And so this is a good story to obviously highlight what Brooks does, and we appreciate that. But it also adds that conversation, right? And lets people know that, hey, not only is it a conversation, we are a resource, and we want to support, especially kids. I mean, we talk about the impacts that mental health can have on adults, like you and I, but we don't think about necessarily what it can have on these kids. And so they go through these traumatic experiences. I mean, imagine being 10 years old and going through a traumatic experience. It's hard for anybody to handle, especially at that age. So having an organization like this be able to say, hey, we will take you in, we want to help you, we can help you and help you support in any way, shape, or form. That's what this organization does, and it's good to hear people like Brooks tell their story, because not only that, his partner, his husband, was also a child who went through the program as well. So there's a lot of full circle moments with this, but to see what they've been able to do, for them to not only be a part of it through volunteers, but even to adopt some of the kids, to see that family and connect both those families here. That's cool. It's a blessing. It really is.
All right, so tell us when the story will be airing tonight.
6:15.
6:15. All right, so check it out, guys. Obviously, if you can't catch the news at 6:15, you can stream and also check out the story online, WCNC.com. Miles, appreciate you spending some time on this, and again, creating awareness on this. This is a big thing, and as I said, access is a huge part of this. So it's great to hear that people are really taking this seriously and trying to move the needle out in the community.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your time.
All right, no problem. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick 2-minute break. We're waiting on a live event happening. I do believe it's surrounding Epstein victims. We'll give you a live shot here. Yes, so we're going to get more information from this as there's been some new reports coming out from NPR, some revelations today. We'll have more for you in 2 minutes. All right, folks, welcome back. We've got an action-packed, I'm about to say half hour, but we've got, just about 45 minutes or so left. We're going to go to a weather update. It is going to get warmer, we promise. Man, but that wind is biting, and we only have really 12, 13, maybe 20 more hours of it or so. Obviously, we have to get through tomorrow morning. So we're going to turn to Majestic Storm so she can give you the specifics because I can't. Let's go to this now.
Well, good Tuesday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm. It's another cold day outside, and yes, we have quite a bit of cloud coverage out there. At least the snow has come to the end, and also those winds have really calmed down there in the mountains. This morning here in Charlotte, it was gorgeous. That is when we had the most amount of sunshine, but now as we're progressing later into the day, you'll notice more and more clouds. Temperatures over the last couple of days have been a struggle. I mean, we've been really only climbing into the 40s. Overnight tonight, we get to hold on to the clouds, which will ultimately help with slightly warmer overnight lows. And then our high temperatures tomorrow, finally 60 degrees. We'll take it. Later on into the week, we do have some rain chances returning. And then this upcoming weekend, it's going to be very, very nice. So make some outdoor plans. Yesterday, look at this, 43 degrees. That was our overall daytime high. We should be at 59 degrees. So as you can see, even today, we're not even getting close to that, but at least it is getting a little bit warmer. Here's the rest of our day today. So maybe the time you're picking up kids, you're heading home after work, you'll notice that it's dry. It's just not the most beautiful Tuesday. Temperatures only climbing into the 40s, although most of our day will feel like we're in the 30s. Now the mountains, talk about a chilly start to your new week. Yesterday, your highs were only into the 20s. Today, we'll take these 30s, but you will have a ton of cloud coverage later on in the day. 38 degrees there in Boone, 37 in Blowing Rock. I have seen still a handful of snowboarders and skiers out there braving the cold and the wind. We have 46 in Hickory and 47 in Lenore. Those are our high temperatures basically across the board. Everyone will stay below average today. As we're heading down to the south, 50 degrees there in Chesterfield and 48 in Wadesboro. So we got to start start out our day with the most amount of sunshine. Now as we're looking at satellite and radar, we're starting to see those clouds really take over. And we did have some flurries early this morning up in the high country. Right now we're dry, but we could have maybe a little bit more by tomorrow morning. Let's talk about the rain though. This is over the next 10 days. This is for Charlotte. So Thursday, you need your rain gear. Lingering impacts as far as that rain goes into Friday as well. I don't think it's going to be an all-day event. And then this upcoming weekend, maybe a small sprinkle on Saturday, but for the most part, this weekend is going to be fantastic. Let's walk you through our futurecast. So here's about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Still not too bad. 40s across the board. And then overnight tonight, this white is indicating the clouds. So we'll start out Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock, cloudy. But hey, at least temperatures will be in the 40s heading out the door tomorrow. Could tap into a little bit of mountain snow, but notice Wednesday afternoon, early evening, we have 60s returning, but those southwesterly winds really is a reason for that. It's ushering in the warmer air, which results in higher temperatures. Thursday, there's early in the day, some scattered showers possible, 7 o'clock, so bus stop forecast could be a little wet, especially north of Charlotte, but then we're watching the second wave right here. That'll be our next best opportunity for rain, maybe a little inconvenient for plans, but remember, we need the rain. Look at this weekend, 74 degrees on Sunday. That is going to be so nice before cooler temperatures quickly return. There's our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Nice mix of sun and clouds today with really clouds taking over by late this afternoon. 40s for our lows. We're back into the 60s as soon as tomorrow. Keep the rain gear handy though as we're wrapping up the work week, and then hey, head outside this weekend. It's going to be beautiful with 60s and low to mid 70s. Hope you have a great day.
All right, folks, after that, we are in luck. We do have a live event happening right now. Epstein survivors are speaking at a press conference with the Democratic Women's Caucus. Let's go to this right now to learn more as they discuss the Epstein files that are still out there, obviously, for the public to see.
Thank you for continuing to speak out, for refusing to be silenced or ignored. Through their courage, we are building a safer future for all of our children. And we will continue to stand with them. All of our elected leaders should be standing with them and fighting alongside them. But what have we seen instead from the President of the United States? He tells us to move on, to get over it, to forget about it, and look away. And tonight, we are prepared to hear more lies, more deflections, more distractions, everything but the truth that the American people expect and that these brave survivors deserve. Let me be clear to Donald Trump. This is not going away. These survivors and all of us are not going away. This is an issue about who we are as a people, who we are as a country. Is this a place where billionaires can get away with abusing children? Or are we a country of laws, of accountability, of basic morality? We reject the rotten corruption at the heart of this broken administration. We will not stand for their lies and for their cover-up. We will stand with these women until they get the justice that they're owed. And I am so proud to be here with all of you and to turn this podium over to a champion for justice, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal.
Thank you so much, Whip Clark, for your incredible leadership. Thank you to the DWC and Chairwoman Leisure Fernandez. And most of all, thank you to the survivors who have just continued to push for justice. You are inspiring all of us. And I especially want to thank and recognize my constituent. My constituent and an Epstein survivor, Marika Chartouni. Marika is, first of all, known by the survivors as the sleuth of the survivors. She has looked at all the documents and has been an incredible help to me as I have been looking at them as well. And she was also one of the first to answer the FBI's call in 2019 to talk about what she suffered at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm just so grateful to you, Marika, for being here today. When Attorney General Pam Bondi appeared before the House Judiciary Committee 2 weeks ago, the world saw her turn her back on the survivors rather than apologize for the pain that her Department of Justice has caused them. Today, the world will see Donald Trump have to face these survivors right there in the House gallery and answer for why ambassadors and princes have been arrested in other countries, but here in America, not a single investigation has been announced into the pedophiles and the predators of Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. He must answer for why the Department of Justice has still refused to release 3 million remaining files, and why they continue the massive cover-up of a depraved Epstein class. He must answer to the people across the country and the world who see that powerful predators in government, academia, finance, and law have all been part of abusing and raping young girls and joking about it with zero accountability. No, Donald Trump, this is not a hoax. We are not moving on from this. You have not been exonerated, nor have any of these predators. We are here today, many of us in white, because women know what it means to be silenced, dismissed, and pushed back, and we are not going to stand for it. These survivors, as Lauren said to me, are shaking the earth with their strength. And because of them and the public that is standing up with and for them, we see the cracks emerging. We demand investigations right here at home into predators like Leon Black, Steve Tisch, Jess Staley, and so many more. These courageous survivors are going to show that tonight is about their strength, about the strength of those across the country who understand that without justice, there can be no progress. So tonight is about our movement that will not stop until we get truth, transparency, and real accountability. And now, let me pass it over to our wonderful ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with my guests to the State of the Union, Sky and Amanda Roberts. Sky is the brother of the late Virginia Giuffre. Amanda is his wife, and they have been passionate advocates for the rights and the interests of all of the survivors and victims of sexual abuse and rape and trafficking all over the country. And I know that everyone is glued to the discoveries that are coming out as we read through the 3 million of the 6 million documents that were compelled to be disclosed by the Epstein Transparency Act. And that's all to the good, because we're learning a lot there. But understand that making progress that way is a bit like finding a needle in a haystack. And it's not a haystack that's been arranged to make it easy for us to find the most relevant information. I would encourage everybody, in addition to looking online, and if you can, going over to the Department of Justice to look at the unredacted files, to read Virginia Giuffre's remarkable book, Nobody's Girl. Because that book locates this entire controversy within the proper social context. She was a victim of child sex abuse before she got into the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and his sex trafficking ring with Ghislaine Maxwell. She was a victim of trafficking and rape and sexual abuse there, and she continued to wrestle with those issues throughout her life. And if you ask the question why this issue is not going away, it's not going away because there are millions of people across America who have suffered the same kinds of abuse, rape, trafficking, and exploitation that Virginia did and the women who are members of the Epstein survivor movement did. And there have been scandals at Michigan State and Ohio State and within many churches, within the Boy Scouts, in all of our hometowns. That is the social basis for this movement and why Donald Trump is not going to be able to sweep it under the rug. This is why, despite all of her stony cold indifference, Pam Bondi is not going to be able to make this go away. We have an entire country of survivors and people who are allied with the survivors, and we are going to insist that the truth come out, that justice be done, and the perpetrators be held accountable in every single case. That's the importance of us getting through this documentation to the underlying facts, and I want to thank all the survivors here for waking up every day, just like the people of Minneapolis, and going right back to the front lines of this fight. And tonight, that includes the State of the Union address, where the President is going to have to see that this is a nation of survivors and their allies. Thank you very much, Pramila.
And now Sky and Amanda Roberts.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amanda Roberts, and I'm the sister-in-law of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. I stand here for my sister, for my survivor sisters, and for every survivor around the world who has been forced into silence. Today is monumental. Today we say to this administration and to the nation that survivors deserve to be seen. We will not be moved, we will not be silenced, and we will not go away. We are continuing to trail. We are continuing the path that Virginia laid down for us. Today, the President will speak about his agenda. He may say it's time to move on from this Epstein thing. Mr. President, today we are saying we will not move on, and the world is not moving on. The world clearly sees the pattern in how this administration has treated survivors with disgrace, contempt, and dismissal. But I want to speak directly to the American people. This moment is about all of us. The state of this union, the state of survivors, and the state of our country. And many of us feel dismayed, disrupted in spirit by the intentional chaos that has been created to distract us and desensitize us to the harsh realities of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and the horrific crimes committed by their rich and powerful friends. Today, as Americans, we find ourselves at a crossroads. We have a choice to make. As American people, what do we want for our future, and what do we want for our children? We can choose to let the Epstein case remain a stain on American history. Another chapter where the rich and powerful escape accountability and survivors are told to be quiet. Or we, the people, can decide it is time for change. So don't look away from us. Don't look away from Virginia. And do not leave survivors behind once again. Stand with us, hold space with our stories, sit with our truths, let them break you, move you, and reshape you to act. Together we can build a nation that is fair and true, a nation where money and power cannot bend the law, where title does not grant innocence, where every voice matters and every survivor matters. I'll end with Virginia's words. I look forward to the days when money and power don't stop the truth from coming out, and the righteous prevail. Well, Sissy, today is the beginning of that day.
Hey everyone, my name is Sky Roberts and I am the brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. There are moments in a nation's life where we are tested, not by our words, but by what we are willing to confront. Today we stand at one of these moments. America is at a crossroads. We can choose to let the Epstein case remain a stain on our history, another chapter where the powerful are protected, the truth is buried, and survivors are asked to carry the consequences in silence. Or we can choose something different. We can choose truth. We can choose accountability. And we can choose to build a country where no one, no matter how wealthy, connected, or politically insulated, stands above the law. Today we are here proudly representing our sister, Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Standing with members of Congress and with survivors across the nation and across the world. Because Virginia's story is the story so many survivors know too well. A mountain of obstacles that seem impossible to climb. Pain so deep, it doesn't fit into words. And a system that too often makes the survivor carry the burden instead of the perpetrator. But I am here to say proudly and with absolute conviction that what Virginia did for this world will not be in vain. She may have left this earth, but her soul is still here. It lives in every survivor who decides to speak. It lives in every victim who is still finding their voice. And it lives in every person who refuses to accept a country where exploitation is met with impunity. Virginia did not just survive, she fought. She pushed back against the culture of silence. She forced the world to look at what it wanted to ignore. And she proved what happens when an ordinary person decides they will not be erased. So today, I invite the world into this community, not as spectators, but as participants. Because on days like this, we may hear powerful voices try to distract us, to divide us, to turn accountability into politics, and truth into a talking point. But I want to speak directly to the families and communities watching, the brothers, the mothers, the sisters, and the fathers, every person who loves someone who has been harmed. Choose unity, choose love, and choose the courage it takes to stand with survivors, not only when it is easy, but when it is expensive, when it is uncomfortable, and when it challenges powerful people. Virginia had a deep passion for bringing people together. She had a deep love for her survivor sisters. And she had a deep love for the millions of victims and survivors around the world who may never be known by name and whose lives matter just the same. To say she trailblazed through obstacles is an understatement. Virginia helped build a road for survivors to walk toward truth, toward dignity, toward justice, and we are here today to carry her torch down that road. We are asking Congress, the public, and every institution with the power to act to carry that torch with us. And that brings me to why we are here, not only to speak, but to demand action. If we truly believe survivors deserve more than sympathy, if we truly believe justice should not depend on status, then we must put it into law. That is why we are calling on Congress to advance Virginia's law. Virginia's law is about saying clearly that the rules that protected abusers and traffickers for decades will no longer stand. It is about closing the gaps that powerful people exploit. It is about strengthening accountability so survivors are not forced to fight alone for years against a machine built to wear them down. It is not vengeance, it is not protection, it is prevention, and it is justice. And to anyone who thinks this moment can be reduced to a headline or a media cycle or even a Super Bowl moment for political theater, let me be clear. The only thing more powerful than hate is love. And this is not going away. We will not stop until the truth is faced and justice is pursued for Virginia, for her survivor sisters, and for every victim and survivor around the world who deserves to know that their lives are worth more than someone else's reputation. Thank you.
Sky and Amanda, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing Virginia right here with us, and we will see her and carry on her legacy. I now have the great privilege of introducing my friend from across the Capitol complex, Leader Chuck Schumer.
Hi, Danny. How are you? Well, good afternoon, and thank you for accommodating me, everybody. Look, while we're here, the truth must come out. Trump says he's going to give a long speech tonight, but there's one thing he refuses to talk about: the Epstein files. Trump campaigned on releasing the files, but now 1 year into his presidency, he calls them a hoax. Shame on him. He says the American people need to move on. We're not moving on, are we? That is outrageous to say move on. That's an insult to the victims and the survivors standing behind me. For years, survivors of Epstein's abuse were ignored, they were doubted, they were dismissed. But their presence here at the State of the Union sends a clear, powerful message. Survivors will not be silenced. My partner in our legislation. The powerful will be held accountable. We will not rest until that happens. And no one, not even the president, is above the law. Trump cannot continue to bury the truth. The full Epstein files must be released now. Nearly every single member of both chambers, Democrat, Republican, Independent, worked for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But for 3 months, Trump's Justice Department has broken the law, blacking out page after page. This is their version of releasing the files. That's it. That's all they do. See?
Shame.
Shame is right. This is not transparency. It's a cover-up. Survivors deserve justice. That's why I'm proud to have introduced Virginia's law with Democratic Woman Caucus Chair Leger Fernandez, thank you so much, to eliminate the federal statute of limitations, barriers that have kept too many survivors from pursuing justice.
All right, guys, we're going to cut away from this as Senator Schumer speaks. Take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back, everyone, here to WCNC Plus. I do believe we're going to go back to the Epstein victims who are speaking. Senator Schumer was speaking. Let's go to this live right now.
From what felt like monsters, only to find that the monster was him all along. Now I look to the government for help, and they're no better. Gaslighting and manipulating victims, the same tactics as Jeffrey and Gila. The DOJ assures us that they're focused on our safety, but only to exploit us further. There are two cases happening here, two cases of abuse. The first case is one that we endured while we were ensnared in the largest sex trafficking ring that this country has known to date. And the second is the abuse of our government. They're covering everything up and protecting power, not the young and the vulnerable. As we prepare to attend the State of the Union, survivors and this country have so many questions that need to be answered. The first one is, where are the rest of the files? The truth must come out. Why are there no investigations when there are plenty of people in these files to investigate? Have we read them? Why is the FBI director out there partying like a college kid when he should be investigating the vast criminal enterprise? This administration needs to do better. How can anybody feel safe in this country when our president's sympathies are going to the former Prince Andrew and not to survivors? There are a few things that really need to be done immediately. First is the release of all of the files, which we know. Next is to hold accountable those who continuously exploit. And the third is to pass Virginia's bill. We need to pass Virginia's bill because justice should never, ever expire. Release the damn files.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll now hear from Ranking Member Robert Garcia.
Hey everyone, I'm going to just make a few comments, and I just wanted to start by saying that it is always an honor and to just be here with the courage of Annie. For those that don't know, Annie Farmer and her story and the story of her family, we are always in awe of you and of everything that you and your family have gone through. I just want to know that we love you and we support you, always. I also just want to thank the whip for her leadership. Also to all of the women in our caucus that are providing so much support to the survivors, that are part of our investigation, that are leading on this issue. I know that both of our committees are so grateful. Not Judiciary, Oversight Democrats, our Democratic women are leading the way on this issue, and we are forever grateful to every single one of you for your leadership, your voice, and your courage in uplifting these incredible women. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to remind the President and the Attorney General that they are right now in violation of the law. And when the President makes a speech tonight, he is going to know that looking back at him will be numerous survivors of Epstein's abuse, and that he is facilitating the single largest cover-up in modern American history. It's the single largest cover-up in modern American history. And who are we protecting? Why are we protecting powerful, wealthy, connected men? Why are we protecting billionaires from justice? Because we're always going to center the survivors. The single most important part of our investigation and what we're guided by is justice for Annie. It's justice for Maria. It's justice for so many that have been wronged, harmed, and terrorized by not just Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but by the co-conspirators and all that helped them commit their abuse. Let's be clear, over 50% of the files have still not been released to the public. And we know as early as just today and yesterday, there are numerous files that we have confirmed that are missing from the DOJ that we know exist, including accusations, and serious accusations, not just against the president, but against others. It's time to release the files. It's time to center their survivors. And the president should know that even though he wants to call this a hoax, that our investigation is just getting started. Yep.
Thank you so much, Congressman Garcia. Your leadership has meant so much to myself and to so many of us. The government's original sin in this case was not following up in any way on my sister, Maria Farmer's 1996 report to the FBI about Epstein and Maxwell and the powerful circle that surrounded them. Since that time, the girls and women who were abused by these criminals have been repeatedly neglected and re-victimized by our own government. The recent release of materials highlights this, as the names of many powerful individuals remain redacted, while the names, personal data, and even images, nude images, of many victims were released. Rather than apologize for this failure, this DOJ has doubled down on denial and distraction. We are tired of the games. When those we elect to office misuse their positions, it harms us all. We are here to remind our elected leaders and other Americans that there is always a choice. You can sit by and watch the abuse of power, as so many wealthy, educated, connected individuals did in the Epstein case. Or you can do the right thing, the courageous thing. You can speak out the way my sister Maria Farmer did because of her concern for her younger sisters. You can speak out the way Virginia Roberts Giuffre did after she looked down and saw her daughter and knew she deserved safety and protection. I know that courage is contagious because these women inspired me to find my voice. And the more I have used it, the more I have heard from others who are speaking out about their own experiences of abuse and standing with us in demanding true transparency, the whole truth that survivors and the American people deserve. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Rep. Maxine Dexter.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here. I am Maxine Dexter, a mother, a physician, and the proud U.S. representative for Oregon's 3rd, and I'm deeply honored to have Lisa Phillips here as my guest tonight for the State of the Union, a survivor of Epstein's abuse, a powerful voice for justice, and she will attend the State of the Union tonight on my behalf. Tonight, as Epstein survivors like Lisa stare down our government, a government that has failed them for decades, you will all bear witness to an important shift in power in this nation. The wealthy and influential have persistently been shielded from accountability for their actions. This has certainly been true for the Epstein class of abusers. This exclusive, twisted club has gone to great lengths to protect their own, to bury the truth, and to perpetuate harm to young girls and women across the world. Not anymore. Tonight, as Trump tries to spin his first year in office as anything other than a crusade to protect himself and the Epstein club of abusers, Lisa's presence, the survivors' presence, makes clear that the powerful will not be protected. It is due to the persistent courage and resilience of survivors that abusers will be held accountable and brought to justice. Accountability means the Department of Justice fully investigates and prosecutes the crimes disclosed in the Epstein files when we get to see them. I was there just a few hours ago. There's hundreds of papers that are completely blacked out still. The brave women who have persistently advocated for transparency and accountability deserve our deepest respect and gratitude. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all for being here, for your voice, for your courage. You've helped us protect our girls, my girl, from evil and have sheltered and will help us unshelter the powerful who have been hiding too long. I proudly stand with you, demanding the time of protecting abusers to come to an end. Thank you, and I'm going to yield to Lisa Phillips now. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Of course, we'll come back with more news here on WCNC Plus. We'll see you in 2. All right, welcome back here, guys. We have just about 7 minutes. We're going to go back to this press conference still as Epstein victims are speaking in this press conference right now.
Hi, my name is Laura Bloom McGee. My remarks are very short because my survivor sisters have said a lot. I want to thank Congresswoman, I believe she just stepped out, Julia Brownlee of California, that graciously invited me here from Arkansas. I have not heard from any of our leaders from Arkansas, so thank you, Congresswoman Brownlee. Speaking out about sex trafficking saves lives. Being here with my sisters has helped save mine. This has never been about politics. It's about little girls and young women who have and continue to be exploited by the powerful. Justice should be non-negotiable. Transparency should be non-negotiable. Integrity should be non-negotiable. No one should escape accountability. We will continue fighting for independent investigations and prosecutions as the evidence warrants. We will not be silenced. Thank you.
Melanie and Representative Andrea Romero. Melanie, Representative Melanie Stansbury, my hermana.
Yes, all right. Whew. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico's 1st Congressional District, and I am so deeply honored to introduce to you the original co-sponsor of the Epstein Files Truth Commission in the state of New Mexico, Andrea Romero, the State House Representative. I want to share a few thoughts today as we prepare to enter the chamber tonight to face Donald Trump and to demand justice for not only the survivors standing behind us, but all survivors who have been failed by the U.S. Department of Justice in prosecuting crimes against children and women and boys and people who have been exploited for decades. We are gathered here today to fight for one thing: justice and accountability, and we will not be silenced. We will not move on. And that is why I'm grateful to be joined by my guests who will talk about the work that we are doing in New Mexico. But tonight matters more than ever because survivors deserve to be seen, They deserve to be heard, and their presence matters more than ever as the world's eyes are upon us. Because let me remind you that every survivor who is here who raised their hand a couple of weeks ago during Pam Bondi's hearing knows that they have been failed by this administration and many administrations in getting the justice that they so rightly deserve. We refuse to let the powerful hide behind money, power, and influence, and we refuse to remain silent about Donald Trump's hiding about the truth of his own individual investigation. These are the files that the FBI has removed from their public Department of Justice database. The yellow files here are the files that President Trump is hiding. The yellow files here are investigations with a woman who was abused as a minor and who alleged that Donald Trump was her abuser. These are the files that they are hiding, among many millions of more. But I want to just close things out by sharing with you the words of perhaps.
All right, everyone, that is our hour here on WCNC Plus. But don't forget, we have Live Impact, our weather impact show at 6:30, and then more news from 7 to 9 here on WCNC Plus. We'll see you tonight.